You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast on the We Are Libertarians Network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Morrell, and as always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis.
Hey, what's up, Jer?
We are here.
Yes.
Episode 66.
66 with Liberty Defender Sean Rao.
And Chase Peyton on the sports desk.
What's up, guys?
So our show is about our lives in rural Indiana. It's a show about folks who are involved in politics. We promise that our episodes are going to be a fun and an easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, political experts, and folks we just find interesting. We ran out of all those people, so we brought back Sean and Chase today. So bear with us. It's episode 66. At this point, we just make it up as we go along.
We're just bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. Or, hell, at this point, like if you go 2 or 3 more episodes, Sean, we're going to have to get a headshot and get a little bio and give you bona fide co-host status at this juncture.
I just want chief legal analyst. If I can get that, I'll be thrilled.
You're the house attorney. You want chief analyst.
I want everything.
Libby, my future mother-in-law, Libby's telling me to turn my mic up. So I don't know if she just wants me louder than everybody else. Is that what she expects around here?
She expects you to overpower us in case we get unruly.
I need a gavel.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Sean's like, if you get a gavel, I am charging you. Screw you.
Yes.
There will be none of that. Dakota, we got some Patreon news again. You got you've got some new subscribers, new people, new things happening on the business front for the show.
We got 2 people on 2 new people on Patreon, and that is Matt Pierce and Jared Bertram. Both of them are brand new on the Patreon side, so they are seeing all of the good bonus content that we put out. They are also seeing tinfoil time whenever we have it. We didn't have one this week.
You know they pay for that weekly, right? It's a contract. It's a spoken contract. An implied contract with our donors that it's a benefit we make available. We don't sell them the show.
I don't remember Sean being involved. I don't remember there being a contract or a notary.
It's a social contract.
I want my money back.
You don't even give to the show, man.
I'm here almost every Thursday.
Oh, we're glad you are. So there's a little bit of news. We're not going to totally make an announcement now, but Dakota, there's the Patreon thing. We said at $500 a month, we're gonna make something happen.
Yep.
I guess the key we'll tell people is to remember what this studio looks like, and there's not a whole lot more episodes that are going to have this backdrop.
Jared, did you find a sugar daddy?
We might have. We might have.
Nice. Jared has a sugar daddy. Yeah.
And maybe it's the Gallon and Rao Studios. We don't know. That could be my sugar daddy.
Galleon and Rao.
Galleon and Rao. For the right amount of money, I'll know how to pronounce it.
especially the senior partner's name.
Yeah.
My name. I'm just the junior guy. I'm just the
You're the second guy. Yeah.
I'm second banana.
When you married the boss's daughter, he didn't have to take your name.
That's it. Lucky I didn't have to take his.
It's true. It's true. He let you hang your shingle out there and keep your identity.
That's exactly right.
Can't be that bad.
Wonderful man.
All right. So we had the Patreon thing's been growing. If little secret for everybody, if you join today, we get your money in like 2 days. So if you're going to join, now's the day to do it. Right now, as you're watching live, Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty, and we've got some expenses coming.
We do,
and it's going to be huge.
Real expenses.
Real expenses. It's a real thing. Still can't hear Sean. Man, we're going to turn Sean up a little more. I know. I hear you. Maybe my future mother-in-law just can't hear anything. I don't know. It could be it.
I'll be right on it.
Yeah. There you are. He's all on it.
Yeah. Now I'm hearing Sean.
Now I'm here.
I'm gonna make another adjustment to Sean there.
I like that voice.
We'll try that. That's the get me out of jail free voice.
You say I like that, and then he doesn't say anything.
Oh yeah, I like that. Strong silent type.
Well, it got awkward. Sunday, Dakota, you had a. Sarah can't hear you at all. What is going on in the world? I think they're just messing with us.
Yeah.
It can't be possible.
I can hear him in my headphones.
It's not possible. It's not possible that they can't.
Okay.
All right.
What happened Sunday?
You
I don't
had
remember.
like 20 people show up at a Libertarian Party meeting.
That's right. I think we had like 18 or 20 people. It was a big deal. Did we get a write up? Did we get a write up in the Middletown News for that?
We're in the Middletown paper for sure. It's in the paper today. If you check your mailbox or go pick up a copy, it's out there.
All right. Yeah. It was a good meeting. So we closed out our convention on Sunday. We got finished with the nomination process. We have no surprises, so there was no breaking news that came out of it, no gossip that can be confirmed. And we continued moving on with business, and things are also looking really, really good for the Henry County Libertarian Party. So that's always exciting to hear.
Nice. That's like 16 more than last time.
Well, there were more than 2. Our meetings have kind of exploded since we started having them a little bit more regularly. Instead of it just being like 4 or 5 people, we've continually gotten into double digits. So.
I can guarantee they can hear Sean now.
There we are.
Yeah, now they can hear you.
I'm present.
There was a button that we didn't have pushed. Good God. Wow. It was terrible.
So many complicated things.
First 5 minutes and Sean's not on.
See, this is why you have to donate to Patreon, people, because we need to pay a full-time audio engineer.
We need to send Chase to audio school.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to teach him how to do it.
I'm down to clown.
So there's a big write-up in the paper today on the Libertarian ballot. Jesse and I are leading the county contingent. Heard some rumors today that it's not a Libertarian, a Republican, or a Democrat, but there is an additional county commissioner candidate that's rumored out there. Gathering signatures. A guy named Walter Evans might be running for county commissioner in the Northern District.
Nice.
So if you see a signature running around, we like having people on the ballot, no matter what party you're in. So sign that for Walter, and might have some fun elections this fall.
No one should get on with no competition.
That's right.
I'm also on.
Are you?
All I do is win, baby.
What are you running for, Sheriff?
Everything.
Everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chase, you're just going to go down your ballot in 2018, and it's going to say Senate, Chase Peyton. Congress, Chase Peyton.
Chase Peyton, 2020.
What congressional district are you in, Chase?
All of them.
6.
That way I have a better chance
6.
of winning.
Oh, well, I like those odds. Yeah.
Oh, so you know what else happened to me over the weekend?
What happened?
You
were a victim, right?
I was the victim of. I played satire. Some people don't understand satire. No matter, even if they're on a comedy webpage or a comedy forum, our buddy Chris runs Bob and Tom's Facebook page. So they had a meme. It was a log truck. There were like 3 big logs on the back of a truck, and it said, "Don't worry, I hugged it first." And I was like, "This is easy." So I commented just a smart aleck comment about.
Saving the trees, what's happening.
What about the trees?
Yeah.
My trees. What happened? And then I just started going down the rabbit hole, so far down the environmentalist rabbit hole that I couldn't stop, and I couldn't tell where the truth started and ended.
At one point, you said that you owned a Tesla, so you were doing your part. And
I said I owned a Tesla, and then they called me out on what powered my Tesla, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, it's definitely hydroelectric powered. It's solar.
Do you know how destructive those lithium mines are?
And then they told me, don't you like toilet paper, sir? And I said, I have a bidet. I don't waste trees.
Heathens with toilet paper.
Yeah.
Gross.
And then they said, what about the house you live in? I said, it's all naturally fallen reclaimed lumber.
See, I figured you were going to go with
far down the rabbit hole with them.
With steel studs. That's what I would have gone
with.
Yeah,
metal stud.
Yeah.
That would have been a good plan. You should have helped. It wasn't like the turkey where it was a joint effort.
I did help.
Or we did it together.
Help. Remember?
Yeah, you posted a picture of a deformed tree and asked what kind of a tree it was.
Yep.
Jer, are you a Charmin guy?
That is a really good question. I'm an Amazon subscribe and save, and whatever it is, it's very premium. And another box showed up at the house today, but I don't remember what kind it is.
Nice. I'm pretty sure that we use Quilted Northern Ultra.
That might be what we use. I don't know.
Okay.
Now for house parties, there's a box I bought at CVS accidentally in an emergency about 3 years ago, and I'll swap out the good toilet paper for the cheap stuff for the house for the pool
that's
parties.
A good plan. Yeah.
I like the dog one, the Cottonelle, because that dog is just so damn cute.
Sean, we brought you here to find out what's in your bathroom.
What's in my bathroom? The Kroger brand.
The Kroger? You've been Krogering?
You get the Kroger brand on that.
Sean over here being fiscally conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
with my politics and my life.
Oh, Chase, anything cool in your weekend? Did you do anything fun?
I don't remember what I did this weekend.
We went fishing again.
We did go. We went casting again. We didn't catch anything, but
Well,
we're
this is
really
like-
good at casting.
This is like the 4th week in a row that you haven't
third
caught.
week.
Oh, third week.
Third week.
Mm-hmm.
Third
Fourth
consecutive week of taking the boat out.
Fourth time's the charm.
Just to remind everybody, when I went fishing with Jer, we didn't catch anything either. So
And before that, like before I started fishing with Jer, I had caught everything. I had caught something
everything
time.
under the sun, right?
Every time but one time.
Well,
But now I'm 0 for 4 with Jer, so I don't know. You should go with us next time.
there's no response. There's no response coming from my right.
I've learned a lot. I can change bait really fast.
I had never used one of those professional reels before. I'd only used like the button ones.
Yeah. So we talked about this on the boat.
We were making fun of you a little bit. 'Cause I did the button thing for like 3 years, and then once I hit like 5 or 6, my dad took me in the backyard and was like, "All right, son, it's time to learn." Ever since then,
I never did that.
Once you switch from the Mickey Mouse pole to the real one, you've got to go with the open face. You can't have the Zebco.
My family just was never fishing people. We were hunters, so we did shotgun hunting, muzzleloading hunting, and bow hunting. So that was our thing.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I don't think Jeremiah or I are fishing people either. But we like to go on the lake. The scenery is beautiful.
Here's the thing: we go after work, so it's not like we have all day, and we're not getting out there at the crack of dawn or before dawn and getting the ideal fishing conditions and times.
True.
I have a list of excuses that
I'm
go
hearing
a page
a lot
and
of
half.
excuses.
Yeah.
Really crappy weather.
We're going to start with: it was raining, it was hot, it was overcast, it was windy, and we didn't have a lot of time. So does that cover it?
Yes.
Is there anything else?
He did let me drive his boat for a second.
Oh, nice.
I was really nervous. He was staring at me the whole time. You know how he gets when you're touching one of those things too. It's just, I was like, you can take over.
Gives you the permanent stink eye, like just.
And in his defense, though, once we started, I was just going in circles, and it wasn't on purpose.
It was the trolling motor.
Oh yeah.
I just like Dakota's definition of the stink eye. I mean, I feel like he's experienced the stink eye from you a few times.
He gave it to me tonight.
I know. I saw
Don't
it.
you remember that?
I saw it.
Jared, can you give the viewers the stink eye?
No, you have to. It's natural. I can't. I'm not an actor.
You can't do it on the
He
spot.
can't do it
I'm
on
on
command.
IMDb, but Dakota doesn't know how to push my buttons at this point. He can get it. He can get me there. He's
I
gonna
can
give me
do it
something
really
to work with.
fast.
Yeah.
I'm a professional at it now. I can take you under my wing if you want to, Chase.
Please teach me.
He'll learn.
Okay.
He'll learn. Hey, Dakota, what came in your mailbox the other day?
What came in my mailbox?
Yeah. Look at your show notes and be like, oh, that's what we're on to now. What came in your mailbox, Dakota?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I got drawn.
66 episodes in, Sean, and we're still working on the chemistry.
Where's the stink eye?
My name.
on.
My name got thrown or pulled from the hat, I guess, to be a potential juror.
Yeah.
And I guess it was
You gonna be a
thrown
federal
at me.
juror, or what entity mailed you something?
No, it was the county, I think. Yeah.
The county of Henry.
Yeah, the county of Henry County.
State of
And-
Indiana.
State of Indiana. Correct.
I hope it's for a murder.
Well, see, I just got selected.
Chase, I don't think there's a
for a
pending murder
period.
trial, but if you
Is there a pending murder trial?
So
Am
there's
I gonna?
probably you're looking at July, August, September.
Yeah.
There's probably not going to be a murder trial
No.
July, August, or September at this
Those
point.
usually happen in the wintertime.
you got to kill somebody.
No, it's just that we plan out trials so far in advance that there's nothing on my radar right now for that. So
What are the chances I'm going to be selected for jury duty? Like realistically.
realistically, in those 3 months, I mean, first of all, it depends on what court it's in. For example, one of the courts is more of a misdemeanor court, so more of the cases that go there is misdemeanors, and most of those are bench trials rather than jury trials.
Right.
But there's not always a jury trial every week. There's not always, that going on. So I don't know. I'd put it at maybe 50-50.
50-50.
50-50 on there being a trial or him getting selected.
I'm thinking maybe.
Probably both. I mean, the jury, the questionnaires that go out for that, they will call you and they will let you know, hey, you're up. And so they'll give you a number as things go on, because a lot of times at the last hour, a lot of these cases can get resolved, and then maybe ultimately you don't have to appear.
So I have to say, though, whenever I opened up the letter and I was like, I got selected for jury duty, my wife Audrey and I, at the same time, she went, oh, and I went, yes.
Yeah. It should be exciting. It should be exciting because you get to participate in government.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I mean, you're participating in the judicial system, which is one branch of our government, as I was taught in school and since I was a young child. But no, it's one of the branches of government that you get to participate in. You have a real impact on, and it's important. I mean, it's one of these things that we ask people to leave, jobs and families and things like that to participate in, but it serves a very important function, which is to ensure that the government action, that it stays in line with what the jurors of this county would agree is a crime or not a crime, or in terms of civil cases, it gives the power to the people, so to speak.
Yeah, I was talking to my grandma whenever I mentioned it, and she said that one time my grandpa was selected for jury duty, and his was a murder trial. And this was back whenever the hotel was still just south of 70, up there where the
Days Inn
rifle range is.
Yeah.
And I guess that he had to stay there. It was like for a month on end, and they allowed visitation, but they had to have a guard there whenever. Yeah. I was like, wow.
That's pretty unusual in a state case, so I wouldn't expect that. We almost sequestered a jury overnight for a major felony case that I tried, but we ended up not needing to do that. But that's fairly unusual unless you're on a federal jury, which I can't really speak to because I've never really practiced federal criminal law.
Okay. I told him that I couldn't be a juror, though, because you and I are such great friends.
Oh, we're just best of friends, right?
Yep. Me and you are such good friends.
The key
I know who Kit Crane is.
You know who the elected prosecutor is because I spoke highly of him last time. So
that's right. Yeah. So I just can't
know all these people.
I'm too high profile at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to help you.
If you do get selected, can you sneak one of the cameras in there and live stream it?
Yeah, that's frowned upon.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Can he wear his Boss Hog of Liberty T-shirt in the juror box?
I think you could.
Nice.
I had somebody wear a Blue Lives Matter to a jury selection or something along those lines, and it just kind of irritated me, and I just struck him from the jury anyway. I'm like, really? It's just saying, please strike me from the jury, Mr. Defense Attorney.
Yeah.
I'll believe everything the police say, and I'll believe nothing that anyone else says. Which is
how do you select? Hey, how do you select who's going to be on your jury?
So we'll get questionnaires maybe a week or 2 weeks before the trial, and I'll go through that and see what people's backgrounds are. It doesn't tell us as much as I would like, but at the same time, it gives us information to know.
Do you go to Facebook and start looking their names up to try to learn about them? Or Twitter,
sometimes Facebook mostly, because that's what most people are on. I mean, if it's a major felony and I have the time to do it, yeah, absolutely. But I don't usually have an investigator or somebody like that working with me, so I'm kind of restricted a little bit towards that. But you get a good feel if you've done this enough.
John, Dakota, Chase, and I are pretty good Googlers.
Yeah,
you let us know next time you have a majy trial and you want chief investigators. Third-rate Googlers.
I've Googled a lot in my time.
I have the Google Mafia out there, out on the mean streets of the internet.
So
doing research.
We'll bring you information that's worth nothing.
Hey,
shoes are 2 for $40. Well, that's what you get from Chase.
We'll put you as a slot as the studio sponsor if you hire us and then in exchange we'll Google stuff for you.
Yeah, you'll just search Facebook for me too.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Do you usually just pick the hot chicks?
There's some attorneys that do that, but
that's why Bash isn't an attorney anymore. If you listen to episode 65.
Yes. Just the episode before.
Yeah.
I'm just honored to be here right after his
the seat is still warm.
We're very good friends. And
did you bring us barbecue?
I did not make it out Wednesday night, but I will definitely be a customer.
I'm just saying, did you bring us barbecue? He didn't bring us barbecue. If you had brought barbecue, you would have been 2 strikes ahead.
He's the barbecue man.
You brought beer.
I bring you beer.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a craft beer aficionado. I bring you craft beer, and hopefully I get invited back.
Bash.
You're
is
number one
supposed
in
to
my
be
book.
That's right, buddy.
Number one for craft beer.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
He's his favorite guest we have right now.
And the law. Hopefully.
And the law. Yeah, that's
And
correct.
the law. The law.
If I ever kill someone, I'll call you.
You do that. Just don't call anybody else.
All right.
Yeah, don't talk to anybody. So, Sean,
Yes.
That down.
keep
Keep your mouth shut. Call Sean first.
Don't talk. Call me.
what whenever I was doing research on
Even better
jury
is if
duty,
they think you killed somebody but didn't. Then he's got a better chance of
Yes.
that's true. So I was whenever I got selected for jury duty, I'm looking up how they select people, right?
Mhm.
But I also want to know. I came across this term. It was called a hung jury,
Yes.
which means that you just know they can't reach a
Yes.
verdict,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Have you ever experienced that in your time?
I have.
You have?
I have.
Oh my gosh,
Once.
what happens?
Is that like a double loss in debate where you're like, shit?
Well, not from the defense perspective, not necessarily, because I mean, your client is still walking out the good door, as I
Right.
call it. You're
Right.
walking out.
Good deal.
The bad door is the one that goes into the holding cell and takes you back to jail, but you're walking out the good door. So a hung jury is when the jurors are at an impasse, and it could be 11-1, 10-2. It doesn't matter. I mean,
We have 10 jurors in Indiana typically.
we have 12.
Or, I'm sorry, 12.
Yeah,
yes.
12. But
First grade math.
yeah, that's okay.
10 plus 2, 10.
But that's the importance of a unanimous jury, is that to convict or to acquit, you have to have all 12 be on board. Otherwise, they're kind of stuck with it. And in my instance, the jury deliberated for, I want to say 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that. But they were at a point where they couldn't agree. We send them back a few times. They'll come to us and say we can't reach an agreement.
You sure they weren't arguing over wind farms or Doughboy?
The glove just didn't fit.
I'll just go with the Doughboy thing. Sure, Doughboy. But no, and then at that point, the judge will discharge them, and now that's not an acquittal,
Right.
so you're still facing criminal charges, but at the same time,
How
like
many-
I said,
How many hung juries can you go through? Is it limitless?
I don't think that there's any reason why the prosecutor can't retry it. Now, in a lot of cases, the prosecutor will look at their evidence and see if they really want to do that. And some of that depends upon whether it's, whether there's a victim involved in the crime or whatever else, and what the wishes are, and if there's maybe renegotiation about different things. But ultimately that's up to the prosecutor to decide whether I want to retry this or not.
So the interesting, kind of tied in, not hung jury necessarily, but I guess it would be a hung jury. Is if they find you not guilty, double jeopardy is something. So if your guy is found not guilty, then he's done. He's out. You can't retry him for the same thing. At least at the state level,
Right. And the state can appeal certain evidentiary rulings or whatever else, and the Court of Appeals could remand for a retrial or whatever else, but that doesn't happen very often. Usually if there's a retrial, it's because there was a conviction and some issue with either the trial or maybe a Fourth Amendment issue or whatever else.
defense or something. So there's apparently the Supreme Court had just today agreed that they will hear a double jeopardy issue, saying that if you were found not guilty at the state level, they could still come back and charge you for federal if they found a way to make it federal. And now they're going to look at that and possibly find a little more liberty and say, no, if you're not guilty, you're not guilty.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, there's
somewhat topical.
There's differing, laws and jurisdictions there, because there's, federal jurisdiction, state jurisdiction. They're mutually exclusive, I guess. So if you're not charged with something here, doesn't mean the feds can't charge you and vice versa. So you run into that sometimes.
What gets you? What decides if it's a federal issue versus a state issue? Is it if you killed somebody from Ohio, it becomes it's a federal issue, but if it's two Henry County people, it stays here?
Well, for example, a lot of, say, like, we have 70 in Henry County, so there's drug trafficking on 70. Newsflash. Drugs are trafficked in
Allegedly,
supposedly, but really, yeah, I've represented people that have been convicted of dealing or trafficking drugs on 70. So theoretically, that's an interstate issue. So that should be a federal issue. But typically, if the amount of drugs isn't really that much or whatever else, the federal government isn't going to pick it up. So that leaves it up to the state to decide whether they're going to prosecute, in which they will.
If they want to go to the effort or not.
Which they will for drugs, because drugs are bad, and we got to prosecute.
Okay.
We got to prosecute.
Bad.
Gotta stop that devil's lettuce.
We gotta. Well, it's more than just devil's lettuce.
This is
it's
the
going
war
to be
on drugs, son.
cocaine or heroin or methamphetamine. So then, at that point,
tourists passing through town.
Theoretically, should be a federal issue because you're dealing with maybe someone going from Chicago to the East Coast or St. Louis to Philadelphia or something like that. Because 70 cuts all the way across. It should be a federal issue, but the feds don't prosecute. So theoretically, the person is in possession with the intent to deliver in Henry County, state of Indiana. That gives the state jurisdiction to prosecute that crime. So that would be an example of like where the feds really should be prosecuting if that's what the law is, because of the interstate travel and you're going from state to state, that sort of thing, as opposed to where the state has jurisdiction for a crime that occurred within the county, within the state. But, bank robberies, I represented, or I didn't represent, but I clerked with an office that did federal defense work when I was in law school. We represented bank robbers and people like that. So FDIC is involved, so that means federal jurisdiction. So they're being prosecuted, even though they robbed a bank in Indianapolis. And now that they're being prosecuted in the federal system, so that's a federal crime. So the federal system's strange like that.
Now their trial is going to be in Indianapolis at the Southern Federal whatever,
the Southern District of Indiana.
Yeah. And Joe Hogsett would have prosecuted. Now we got somebody else now. Joe worked his way to
He's
mayor.
the mayor now.
Yeah. He's a family friend, so we.
So did you meet and shake hands with bank robbers?
I did meet with some of them. Now, when they're in federal custody, you're not face to face with them.
Is the bandana across their nose a permanent fixture?
No, they're behind glass. You don't get to really interact with them as much. Ooh. But
so you meet with them as an attorney behind the glass.
Yeah, when I was clerking, that's when they were in federal custody like that. Whether it was the attorney or the clerk, I mean, they were behind glass in certain, if they're being held by the feds. Now the feds may house them in Marion County Jail, so you got to go through that dungeon, and and you got to go climb through whatever. Okay, they're on floor 7, and this is all, and you get to meet with them in in a big room with just some dividers, so there's no real privacy with your client, which I never liked.
A lot of whispering.
Yeah, you're trying to write on paper, and they're trying to write back to you. See, the guy next to him doesn't hear them, and it wasn't real pleasant. But that's where some of the federal defendants are housed while they're waiting trial. So, good old Marion County Jail. I'm glad I don't have to go back there anymore.
What do you got?
Sure, we got a big World Cup update.
Oh,
boom!
Nobody asked for this.
Soccer still sucks.
Oh, I like it. I like it though,
man.
Hey, did you hear that you bashed on soccer, and Bash Kreider's dad was a soccer coach?
Oh well,
very sad. Well, Chase is free to have his opinions, and we support them. Soccer is much better when they play it on ice and have sticks.
I love hockey.
Yeah,
I love hockey too.
Much better.
Yeah,
much better that way.
Go Pens.
Blackhawks.
I have a Blackhawks.
Watch your mouth, sir.
We all know that Hockey Town is Detroit anyway. So
that's even worse.
Yeah, that's
even worse than the Pens.
Just go home.
Not yet. We're not done having our show. So if Dakota gets selected to this jury, what's this thing that libertarians run around talking about, jury nullification, where they get to decide, I'm in charge, I'm on the jury, and I get to decide what the law is? I know what the state of Indiana and Gene Leising and Tom Saunders said, but damn it, I decide what the law is because I'm sitting on this jury. Is that real, or are the libertarians just nuts?
So the libertarians aren't nuts.
Are?
No, aren't.
Oh.
Newsflash. It's just a little different, slightly different than maybe what some people think.
Wow, that's so weird to hear libertarians aren't nuts.
Are not
nuts. Huh.
So
my whole life I've been hearing things differently.
When you look at the Indiana Constitution, you look at Article 1, Section 19, and that talks about juries having the right to determine the law and the facts. So that gives the jurors the right they're the finder of fact in a criminal prosecution. So they'll decide whether somebody, committed some act against someone else or didn't, someone acted recklessly or didn't, whatever the case is. And you're not allowed to completely disregard the law and the facts. That's not really what they're talking about. But you're allowed to make that determination. And, for example, I would think that I've had a case where I was able to get a not guilty verdict for my client after a jury trial. I had a Henry County jury. It was a gun offense. It was a firearm offense. And I felt like my guy acted responsibly. He did discharge the weapon, but no one was hurt. And he was being charged with criminal recklessness. And he had a good reason to discharge the weapon. I don't want to get into the facts, but he's been found not guilty, so I guess I could if I wanted to. But I knew with the Henry County jury, we like guns in Henry County.
Right.
We're a red county. So I knew that, the jurors are big Second Amendment believers and big believers in, protecting your own property or your family or anything else. And, I got an acquittal for not guilty. Now in Marion County, that's a little different because there's a lot of gun violence over there and things like that. So maybe a jury wouldn't feel the same way as a Henry County jury would. So this Henry County jury applied these facts and this law to this and found him not guilty. We got a quick verdict. We got a good verdict. And that's a good example of a jury applying law and facts and the people here not leaving their common sense at the door to do that. So that's when we talk about jury nullification, you can't just say, well, I think marijuana should be totally legal, so I'm never going to vote, not guilty on any marijuana possession case. That's not really what the Constitution allows you to do, but it also allows you to, make
use your better judgment with it.
Yeah.
See, so so personally, I do believe that marijuana should be legal for recreational use.
Give me the weed.
And no victim, no crime.
Scandalous.
So, but I also know if I was on a jury, then it is illegal to possess marijuana in the state of Indiana. So that means that I have to look at it with a clear and open mind without my personal beliefs, correct, is what you're saying?
Well, it's if you have a belief, now this would be a good example of what we do in jury selection. Because if there is, more of a cultural movement towards legalization of marijuana in Indiana, I think that's going to be something that attorneys are going to want to question or voir dire the jury on to say, what are your beliefs about marijuana?
Yeah.
Because now, most marijuana
Safe,
cases...
rare, and legal, obviously.
Most marijuana cases, so possession of marijuana is a B misdemeanor. That rarely, if ever, goes to jury trial in this county. And then dealing marijuana is like a level 6 felony, I believe. So it's that could go to a jury trial. But again, rarely, if ever.
So you say rarely, if ever, because they drop the charges, or the guy just signs something and moves on. Because if
both.
But if you as the defendant say that our friend Chase over here gets picked up for simple possession, and he says, "No, I'm not signing it." All right, we'll just use Chase because he's sitting at the end of the room and he's not running for office and isn't the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Indiana or Henry County.
Give me the weed.
So say our friend Chase accidentally gets caught.
Yes.
And he says, "I'm not pleading to anything."
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be a game of chicken where the county is going to decide, all right, the hell with it, just let him go? Or are they going to say, no, we're going to go to trial?
Well, that's part of...
If he says, no, I'm just purely, you're either going to give me a trial or we're not, or you're going to drop it.
That wasn't weed. That wasn't weed. That was oregano. I don't care what the dog said.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Whenever I get a new client, I talk about, okay, here's what the police report says. It's not the gospel necessarily. I want to hear your side of things. And what are your goals here? If his goal is to get a dismissal or go to trial, I know that, and then I still have an obligation to go to him if they're saying, okay, well, they'll give you, all your suspended time. They're not going to put you in jail. They're not going to put you on probation or whatever,
right.
Whatever the case is, then he'll make an educated decision as to, okay, this is what I want. I'm willing to accept that. But, oftentimes in negotiation, now this is usually for more major felonies than this, but
Right.
It's all or nothing. Either you dismiss it or we're going to trial, and I'm going to present my evidence to the jury, and they're going to make a decision. But if he were to present his facts and his beliefs and things like that, some of that may not be admissible because it's not relevant to the facts there. It doesn't really matter whether he thinks that the legislature is wrong or not. That's the law of the land.
Right.
As a defense attorney, you'll say, well, you figure out the facts, you figure out the law. I get this instruction. I just use the text of the Constitution, and I give it to the jurors, and they make a decision. I don't even really touch on that all that much in final argument, just because it's in there, and I know that they look at it. So,
And you don't need all 12. You just need
to hang.
when you're looking at a jury, I would imagine you don't usually have 12 independent voices that are fighting for one thing. You have one or two leaders that are shaping the thought of what that jury's going to do. Yeah. I would imagine that's just like every board I've sat on in the past. You've got leaders and followers.
Yeah, I mean, it's human nature still. I mean, I would love to be a fly in the wall in some of these deliberations that I've done where they're going 8, 10, 12 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, where are we at? Like, where, but, by and large, it's human nature just like any other joint endeavor. You're trying to come up with a solution with this group of people. Maybe somebody's hung up on this fact. Maybe somebody thinks that this about the law. Maybe somebody else thinks this is an issue with the final instruction, and we got to follow the instructions. And so each of them kind of bring their own to it. But at the end of the day, what they're instructed to do is do their best to really work as a team. And if it's at all possible, I mean, they need to stick to their convictions. If they think somebody's not guilty, they need to stick to it, even if they're 11-1. They can't be pressured into saying, "Well, okay, I need to go home.
Hell with it. I'm late for dinner. This guy can fry. I gotta go."
Yeah,
he's getting convicted. I mean, that's what you hope as a defense attorney, is that they're going to stick to their convictions when it comes down to it. Because I'm sure there's a lot of heated arguments back there, especially
there's got to be
for major felonies, and you're thinking that these people, if they're hanging in there for your client and they believe the facts that you've presented to them, you hope that they stick to their convictions and will hang in there, even if it's down to 11-1. So
the last time that you were on, we talked about the People versus O.J. Simpson. Remember, the TV show.
Remember that thing that happened?
Yeah,
I do remember that thing.
But,
I remember that conversation.
I like to imagine that back there in the room, they were really arguing that much because it was so dramatic, and it's like
they found him not guilty. It wasn't a hung jury.
It was a quick verdict too.
It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
It was like the trial of the century, and then they decided that quickly. So
the glove didn't fit.
There was one old lady that was sticking it out. She's like, "No, he's guilty," and then they all just convinced her. Mm-hmm. She basically was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this. I'm done serving on this jury."
So, Jared,
which is what you were talking about earlier.
Jared, this is the problem with your story. Okay,
all right.
I wouldn't get caught with weed because I would either eat it or I would kegel it. All right, I've been training my whole life for this. Have you seen me eat a donut?
I've not.
It's just.
I've not seen that. Interesting. All right, that's enough of Dakota's going to be on a jury.
Yep.
We're going to expect a journal. Can he keep a journal while he's on jury? Write a book later?
I think you can keep notes, so
nice.
I don't know if you can take the notes with you or not. I can't remember.
Can I take the Zoom with me?
You can't record it.
Unless you're an attorney, you can't take anything into the damn...
can be bonus content for Boss Hog of Liberty. For the Patreon people.
Patreon, we can release Dakota's notes.
Some of us attorneys have to keep our calendars on our electronic devices, so...
Some of us that have political business in that building need our calendars too and need information, but instead, or we want to take pictures of stuff, and instead we have to leave all of our crap outside and go inside like poor schleps and write things down.
Yep.
Or pay $1 a page for information.
I'm a poor schlep.
Send all your complaints to Rick McCorkle at Henry County Sheriff.
I
could probably help you out with that.
I'm personally protesting this. It's painful.
that's part of Jeremiah's platform to get on the county council.
Yes, because the county council oversees the policy of the Justice Center.
Well, Clay is on the criminal justice committee, so I'm sure that he's got some strings to pull.
All right.
That could be you, man. You could be on that committee.
So when we get into these shows, we say, "Hey, what do you guys want to talk about? What's interesting to you?" And Sean said, "I want to talk for a little bit about Trump versus the restaurants and the freedom of association." So Sarah Huckabee Sanders is the press secretary for the White House, and she basically was denied.
So offensive.
Mike Huckabee, 2008. I heart Huckabee, man. I was a Huckabee supporter in 2008 before Ron Paul. I was all about Mike Huckabee. Anyway,
interesting.
So his daughter is Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and she's the press secretary. She replaced Spicy Spicer. And spicy, and I just got.
She's actually lasted a while.
She lasted longer than I thought she would.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Have you seen her press conferences? She's actually really good.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
I like her.
You smitten?
She's just so.
She had a little longer hair.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who it is, boy or girl. Chase likes the long hair. Sean, you're very safe. Anyway, so basically, she went to this. Is it the Red Hen or the Red Cluck or something?
Yeah, it was the Red Hen in Virginia,
and she was denied service. So we've seen people
her and a group of 7 other staffers
foaming at the mouth, mad, saying they ought to. Well, the conservative side pissed off. You can't deny service to somebody that's wrong. The liberal side saying, "Yeah, it's a victory for us. There's consequences to acting like you do." So we had a little bit of a sidebar conversation downstairs about it earlier, talking about how it seems like we trade sides. You know, the left has one opinion when they're in power, and the right has an opinion when they're in power. Somebody gets elected, and they just trade sides. And as libertarians, we're very, very rarely elected, so we just look at them all and say, "It's crap. You're just making stuff up." So, Sean, what's going on here? Is there really any smoke here, or is it all just a bunch of people making a political hay over nothing thing?
The only thing I wonder about, because I'm not really well versed in say White House ethics, and it doesn't seem like the people that are running the White House are versed in that either, would be the president and the White House staff calling out a specific business after that they're denied service in an attempt to get retribution or an attempt to put pressure on that particular business. But it's absolutely the business's prerogative to serve who they want within limitations under federal law. I mean, you can't just not serve African Americans or Mexicans or people based upon their race or nationality. But at the same time, a political perspective, that's not gonna incur the type of scrutiny that would for religious discrimination or racial discrimination or things like that under federal law.
So if it's racial, it's wrong. If it's because you like boys versus girls, then it's wrong. But if you're a Republican, then it's okay.
Well, I think that when you're talking about the boys, if you like boys and you're a boy, the Christian baker in Colorado.
Let's not use boys for that.
Boys.
Let's say
men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Men.
All right. Fine. Manly men.
If you love manly men and you're a manly man, everybody's up in arms about the Colorado bakery and they're refusing service. That decision was so narrowly tailored.
Yeah,
that it will not apply to any other business other than this particular set of circumstances.
Yeah, but an attorney could bring it up in a future case, right? And like, hey, listen, in this case, you agreed.
Right.
Why are you not agreeing with this case, right? So it did kind of set a precedent.
I think that the Trump people did a victory lap, and the conservatives did a victory lap when, if they really read the decision, it was really more about this board member or somebody making a certain type of comment at their hearing that was unfair to the baker in the opinion of the Supreme Court. So it's not going to be necessarily binding precedent going forward. It's just which makes you wonder why the Supreme Court took it anyway, because they don't have to take cases. They grant cert, and they're...
Generally, the Supreme Court wants to deal with big macro issues.
Yes.
They don't want to rule on one specific case, but that's what they did here.
That's what they did
That
here.
was a 7-2 decision but it didn't. They don't want to legislate, or they're not supposed to legislate, but they like to make major decisions that set federal law going forward.
So why can't without the pretext of the Civil Rights Act, without without any other federal guidelines, why should a black baker be forced to serve a white man? Why should a Jewish baker be forced to bake the Nazi cake, like we always say?
And that
why is it wrong for a white supremacist to deny service in a restaurant to a black man?
We're going to assign that question to Chase because he's been quiet. Chase, Can you explain that one?
So I'm going to take you off on a little story here. I was eating dinner yesterday, and my grandma was talking about how bad this is, how sorry she is.
If you say a hard R, we're going to lose our show.
No,
How bad? What is with Sarah Huckabee Sanders
for the Sanders thing? And I was like, that kind of does suck. And then I was on the toilet like 15 minutes later. Okay, and I was thinking about
Grandma food poisoned you?
And I was like, man, this is just like the cake thing. And then I was like, you know what? You should be able to deny service to whoever you want.
Whoever. All right, so if a restaurant opens up downtown Newcastle.
Yeah.
And he's a skinhead Nazi. And he says whites only, speak American. And
if he owns that business, go ahead, man. You're not going to get much business, probably.
Technically, right now, he couldn't because of the Civil Rights Act, right? Okay,
Plus
so he
the
would
Jennings building isn't open yet.
So he would be prosecuted.
It's BS.
In the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th
I have
Amendment.
black friends. I lived with a black person for a year. I'm just saying you should be able to do what you want with what you own.
And then let the market decide.
Yeah, let the market decide. Personally, I wouldn't support that business.
Yeah, because I knew there was a Nazi business down the street, I'd do everything I could to write on Facebook or wherever. There's a piece of shit that's owning a business down here, and I don't want him in my town anymore. That would be me.
The only problem with that is that didn't work in the South.
Well, okay,
when everybody was kind of racist and comfortable with that. You had to have, the court step in or someone else step in and say, okay, this is not okay. Segregated bathrooms aren't okay. Because I think now, who knows? Alternate history. We're talking about alternate history.
Yeah.
Who knows what would happen without the jurisprudence of the 60s and 70s that was important in breaking down those. And
what was important?
Differences.
What was important with Jim Crow laws, like ending school segregation, ending the separate bathrooms and the separate water fountains and things, is the majority of those things were happening in public buildings. So, like courthouses, you had like the arts park would have a black restroom and a white restroom.
That's not a public building, for the record. That's not. I don't think that's government owned.
The arts park?
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think that's a private park. For the record.
I thought it was
Memorial Park would be.
Yeah,
Memorial Park is county owned. I think the Arts Park is a private organization.
Has nothing to do with the point. But
I'm just saying,
you talk about schools and things. So we're talking about public buildings whenever it comes to Jim Crow laws. Of course that's important because we can't let our government be segregating between people. We can't let our government oppress other people. That's totally opposite. But I think that if the Jim Crow laws had failed and we did have the Civil Rights Act and it applied to public buildings, then I do think that we would have seen a different social turnaround because people watch, whether you like to think about it or not, you watch the government and things that are going on, the people in leadership, and it does have a social effect on your life, whether you like it or not. It just kind of happens. There have been a lot of psychological studies that have to do with that, especially with Trump in office. It's been very apparent in the way that some males behave, and that I do think that if we hadn't applied that to other private things, it would have went this way eventually anyway.
I don't know if the culture was ready for that though. I think that especially in the South, in the 50s and 60s. They might have viewed Kennedy or LBJ as the enemy. I think there's
totally right.
a long strain in conservative, not libertarian necessarily, but kind of survivalist kind of thing where the federal government is the enemy. And I don't think that just because the government says it's okay to treat people equally, that I'm going to treat people equally in our restaurant or whatever else. Yeah, I mean, I think if the neo-Nazi guy opens up a bakery in town, he's going to fail in Newcastle, Indiana in 2018. Was that the case in the Deep South in
1964? Yeah.
No.
Well,
he's going to do just fine, probably just segregating against African-American people. So
in the long term, ultimately, it turns out okay, right? Like, look at Pride and where this is Pride Month. So there was an article in the USA Today or yesterday, and it said, these Pride parades have turned into a place where straight kids go and get party like it's St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
They've basically taken the Pride parades, and instead of it being the people that are gay and trying to express themselves, and it's a protest or it's an awareness thing, now it's turned into a big party because it's been culturally it's acceptable now. Where now you go party and it's just a big party in the streets because being gay is fine. It's good with the community. We have gay marriage. We have equal rights. We have equal protection. It's if you're not on the side of equality, then you're considered to be a bigot, right? It's just like we've come a long way in 15 or 20 years on that issue.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think
the
that's
Supreme Court helped that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They did. And then when we finally got I don't think there's any reversing that. And if anybody tries to run on that platform, you're going to be marginalized incredibly. I think we're at that point now with the Jim Crow laws and everything else. No matter where in the country you are, if you had, it's kind of like unions, where unions said, "Hey, we're going to have a 40-hour work week," and that forced that issue. 100 years ago, that was required and it was necessary, and they did very good work at that time. But we don't necessarily have to be locked into that box forever, in my view. If somebody tried, where society is now,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody tried to have a bigoted organization and say, "Hey, we're not going to serve X, Y kind of people," they're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
And almost any small business owner you talk to is like, "I'm not turning away money."
Yeah.
This show, if we, unless it's some sort of a very, very, very questionable group that doesn't make sense for our show, we're probably going to take you up on a sponsorship, and we'll be the Dakota Davis Studios, or the Brand X, whatever. We'll shill your stuff, and we'll exclusively shill your stuff on the show. That's the way it goes. And as long as it's not offensive, and the market will tell us if it's
Mm-hmm.
offensive, then that makes sense. And you have freedom of association. I think on the leading edges, maybe it's necessary for the federal government to do something where they did 60 years ago or 100 years ago. I don't know how necessary it is long term.
Yeah.
So what do we
because,
do? Do we repeal those laws, and do we tear down the laws for that? I mean, do we step back with case law on equal protection and the 14th Amendment? I mean,
No, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's implied. Like, it's implied. It's the way you live your life.
Sure.
So at some point, you just don't have to go. You don't have to apply.
we don't
it
have
anymore.
to think about that.
Right. It's just
I don't have to actively think that I'm not a racist and I'm not going to be racist to
norm.
people. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now at this point,
agree with
nobody. We have so few people that are actually racist. You'll have comments and things that are made in jest, but it's in the spirit of comedy, right? You have people that'll make. I understand.
Yeah,
We're treading on questionable.
Harry Price.
Yeah.
Harry Price, who is our African American friend. He
Very
always
good
said,
friend.
Yeah, very good friend.
We've wrestled.
Great friend of the pod.
I played Dungeons and Dragons with him one time.
We did, yeah. He always says that
Why didn't
you
I
can.
get an invite for that?
He makes amazing ribs.
I don't know.
I bet he does.
Ask Jeremiah. It was his party.
Next time.
But he always says that you can tell how racist a person is based on the level of offensive type of racist joke they tell. He says if it's not offensive at all and they act like it's going to be offensive, that man is a racist deep down inside. But if he is comfortable saying something really bad at an actual black person, then he's totally cool. And I thought about that, and I was like, wow. That's probably like 100% true, because sometimes you think like, if you're like, oh man, maybe this is going to cross the line. No, you're comfortable with yourself because you're not racist. I can be comfortable in what I'm saying. I know what I'm doing, and I know Harry. He knows me. He knows that I don't hate him because of the color of his skin. I can tell a joke. Like there's so many different societal norms that it would be totally and 100% impossible for the federal government to try to enforce anything than what they already have, is what I'm trying to get at.
I agree with that.
But
All right. When you win, you stop talking. We learned that rule, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's what Rex Bell taught us.
So, yeah.
When your motion is granted, you don't have to keep telling the judge.
Right.
You told
By
me.
the way.
You told me you hated Harry.
Yeah, it was a different
Just when
reason
he
than the
said
color of his skin, though.
All right. So we had this huge show booked, all of this stuff, and then yesterday afternoon, like the story of the freaking century happened. Maybe we're overselling a little bit. It's the story of the year in federal government. This is the story of the year. Anthony Kennedy has been on the U.S. Supreme Court for 30 years, and he's not Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like the absolute lion of the left, or Justice Scalia, who died, who's a hard right. He has been since Sandra Day O'Connor retired in 2005, 2006, somewhere in there, during the second George W. Bush administration. He's been like the swing vote. So when there's been a 5-4, he's been the one in question of which way are they going to go. Are they going with the liberals? Are they going to go with the conservatives? What's going to happen? Generally, he was appointed by a Republican president. He's President Reagan's appointee, and he's generally been more conservative than not, maybe a little bit of libertarian stance on gay marriage and on some other progressive social issues. So this is the seat, like the most coveted swing seat, and now he's saying that he's going to retire in the middle of the first term of Donald Trump. So we got to talk about it. He says he's going to be done on July 31st, so he's giving his 2.5 about a month and a half notice, something like that, a month. Yep. What's going to happen is President Obama, going into an election, appointed Merrick Garland, who the Senate never took action on. And then that's what led to Justice Neil Gorsuch, who's serving now.
Took his spot.
Yeah. So Garland was appointed. They never took him up. So theoretically, the Senate could not take action and wait for the next president 2.5 years from now. If there's a different president, they may appoint this guy. What's going to happen here? And is Sean Rao a candidate?
Yeah, I want to know.
I'd be happy to disgrace the Supreme Court of the United States by becoming the next justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, but that's not going to happen. It's going to be interesting because I know that there's this list that Trump had made public.
He put out 25 names before he was elected, saying
Gorsuch is out. Gorsuch is already on the.
He's been picked, so there's 24 left.
24 left. I presume he's going to go off the same list because that's what the reports say. So these people are not what I think people that are libertarian or liberal leaning or anything outside of Trump, the Trump party. They're worried that he'll pick some nut off of Fox News or something else to become the next Supreme Court justice.
I got to be honest, a lot of the libertarians are absolutely begging for them to pick a certain nut off of Fox News. If I
can think of the one.
If Napolitano,
Judge Knapp.
Yeah, if Judge Napolitano was picked, and Stone in our wall chat, the We're Libertarians group chat, was all about Napolitano today.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make sense.
No, you're going to pick. Honestly, Sean is like 5 years from being the perfect candidate. Because they want somebody that's 40 to 45 years old.
Yes.
They want somebody that's going to be on as their legacy to serve until they're 80 or 85 years old.
Yeah.
So if they appoint Sean at 37 or 35 or 34.
I'm 33 now, so I got plenty more years in the tank,
your confirmation may take a few years.
Well, we got a Republican Senate. They're going to push somebody through before the October session.
Maybe it'll be Ginsburg's replacement.
That's assured. I mean, but they're going to look for somebody young. They're going to look for somebody that is, does have experience. Gorsuch, from my perspective, was a good choice. I don't agree with a lot of what Trump does or really anything Trump does, but I think that Gorsuch was probably the best thing that he did as president was select him, because I think that he is a constitutional conservative. Well, he may prove me wrong as he goes on, but with the confirmation hearings and things like that, I felt like he was certainly somebody that could replace Scalia in terms of that.
In terms of that kind of being a little bit more centrist and sticking strictly to the law and not political biases, really.
What you're going to worry about, though, is the 4th, 5th Amendment.
The 10th Amendment, majorly, yeah.
Yeah, 10th Amendment, you're going to worry about 6th Amendment issues, maybe even 8th Amendment issues, because we're going to talk about fines and bail with civil asset forfeiture. That's where I'm worried, because where I'm at, I'm reading some of these 4th Amendment decisions, and I'm like, man, Sotomayor really nailed it in that dissent.
Yeah.
She was the dissent, because these guys are not the issue I have with appointments
on privacy and on being secure in your papers and your possessions.
Yeah.
The left generally has. I'm fully in support of what they find.
Yeah.
Justice Rucker in Indiana, who's retired now. When we had Barnes versus State, that was it was amazing.
Yeah.
Right. It was great. It was great work, and that's from the hard left.
Yeah.
But on those issues,
the Rucker dissents some of those are just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he was such a wonderful justice for the Indiana Supreme Court, and that's what I worry about when you talk about a Trump appointee is going to be somebody that doesn't have fidelity to criminal defendant rights, because people that assert these rights are people that are being charged with a crime by the state, and they think they're a bad guy. But really, it protects all of us. So that's what I would look out for. You need to look out for these issues because I think the Trump appointee will vote with Alito and Roberts and different people that
they'll stick with
are
their
not
side
as friendly with the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment issues.
So there's been a lot of talk about this quote unquote Mitch McConnell rule, which was what you talked about whenever Obama was president. I just want to clarify for a minute that whenever Obama was trying to appoint a Supreme Court justice, that was in 2016, he was trying to get that through. The Republicans had the majority in the Senate, right? So no matter what you talk about with this Mitch McConnell rule, it doesn't really matter because Obama was trying to appoint a justice to a opposite majority Senate. It's not going to happen anyway.
Is the Senate is the Senate 49-50, 49-51 right now, or 50-50? Where's the Senate?
The Senate's controlled by Republicans
right
now.
It's Republican controlled.
But give them a hearing. Give them
they didn't
the
even
chance
give him
on the
a
merits.
hearing.
I mean,
No.
just even if it's a show thing, even if it's just we're gonna just put on this, this thing
and
for
we're
the
all going to
American
take
people.
one of our 6 weeks of vacation that we get.
We're all
going
to take pot shots of this guy, and then we're not going to confirm him. I mean, just do that. That was preferable to what they did. I thought it was pretty despicable what they did to this guy.
Yeah, it was terrible. I think that Trump should be the ultimate troll and appoint him. I think he should put Merrick Garland up.
That would be the funniest shit I've ever seen.
I would love it so much.
That would be amazing.
So there's two
That'd
names.
be the ultimate Trump troll moment.
It would be great. Truly, it would be great. People are like, he's going to. His sister is on the federal appeals court, or the Third Circuit Court.
Hey, Merrick Garland is incredibly qualified to be on the Supreme Court.
And he's very moderate.
Yeah.
He actually would have been fine.
Is pretty moderate for
like if Obama had not appointed him, I don't think people would have been. Yeah, that's fine. I think the conservatives probably would have been somewhat supportive of him if he was Trump's guy.
Mm-hmm.
The two names that or two of the names that we've seen a lot in the news have been Mike Lee, who is a U.S. senator right now. His father was a solicitor general. His brother is a Supreme Court guy, I think in Utah maybe. And Mike was on the list of 25. And then there's a lady named Amy Coney Barrett, who's from Indiana.
Mm-hmm. She's from Notre Dame.
She was a Notre Dame law professor.
Go Irish.
And then she was appointed about a year ago by Trump to one of these federal courts, and she had a little bit of a dust up getting appointed. But for diversity and
I think it was more for religious reasons.
It was Catholicism and religious. I think it was contraception maybe, and some views she had.
She's also been very instrumental in trying to get Roe v. Wade overturned. Which, no matter what your view on abortion is terrible law. Because it just goes directly against, it's perpendicular to the 10th Amendment. Because there's nothing in the U.S. Constitution about abortion, and that should be delegated by the states based on the 10th Amendment. It's not good law.
So what I'm more concerned about is that she's being attacked for her religion. And John F. Kennedy was, and a lot of people were along the course of history.
Being a Catholic's pretty sticky, man.
You would know.
I was an altar boy for a couple of years.
That's right.
How'd that go, Jer?
I'm a Baptist now.
They kept telling the altar boys, watch out for John F. Kennedy.
Apathetic Baptist. I looked it up. The Senate is 51-49 GOP. John
51-47, two independents.
So two of them caucus the Democrats. So 51-49 for all. I mean, Bernie Sanders is a Democrat.
Yeah.
And I think Angus King maybe, who caucuses with the Democrats too, out of Maine. So 51-49. You've got one who's on hospice pretty much, John McCain. So that's 50-49.
R.I.P.
And not yet.
Not yet.
He's still hanging in there, baby.
Hang
Too
tight.
soon. Too soon.
Trump says he shouldn't have been captured, but let's hang on his side for a minute, okay? But then if he appoints Mike Lee, then it becomes, okay, you may be 50. He may have to vote for himself to be confirmed. That's a sticky spot, man.
Yeah, I would not nominate. It'll be Jeff Sessions all over again.
Or if it's Mike Lee's brother, you get a little nepotism going on. I mean, come on. His brother's on the short list, too.
That's what he ran into when he appointed Jeff Sessions to be Attorney General, because there are plenty of great attorneys that you could have appointed for that.
Yeah, but you picked a sitting U.S. senator. Which, by the way, you cost yourself a Senate seat because it went to the Democrats after.
It's the ultimate. I think
which is why it's 51-49.
I retweeted this, or I posted this. It's the ultimate own goal. You nominated this guy. He's the Attorney General, and then the Democrats ride their wave. You appoint somebody who people can say, like young girls or whatever else.
What if he appoints Roy Moore to the Supreme Court? He's already been an Alabama Supreme Court justice.
I think Roy Moore or Merrick Garland would be the ultimate. Yeah, you're up there with that.
I'm having some fun with that.
See, I would nominate Ivanka because I'd vote for her.
All right.
The problem is Roy Moore got kicked off the Alabama Supreme Court, so I don't think.
But then he got reelected by the people, so I mean,
yeah, but
they picked him. So our short list is Mike Lee, Sean Rao, Roy Moore, and Merrick Garland.
Yeah,
and Ivanka.
One of those four.
A rogues gallery.
One of those four.
My name's out there, President Trump.
It's been floated by reputable media sources.
I know the NSA is watching this one. So
yeah, Dakota left because he had to poop.
Or pee. I don't know. It's a 1 or a 2. We'll check later.
It was definitely a 2. I saw how he was walking
out. Will you reach into that cooler over there and grab one of the green ones for me?
Yes.
Can you do that while we're live on the air? We're searching. Oh, there's one left. Sean, do you need one?
No, I'm good.
We can split it.
No, you're good.
We can split it. So my co-host is left. I'm left with Chase, who knows nothing about any of this. He was really counting.
I know some of it.
Hang on, wait.
Ask me a question.
He hasn't been given an opportunity here. He hasn't been able to prove himself in this segment.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Chase, what did you think about Merrick Garland?
I thought he was great.
You would have voted for him?
Possibly. If Obama would have nominated him, probably.
If he had nominated him.
Yes.
So when he did nominate him for the Supreme Court.
I said if he didn't. If he didn't nominate him, I would have voted for him.
Should he have gotten a hearing? Was that the right thing to do, or are pure politics what we do in November?
Probably, but realistically, it didn't matter.
I mean, you're happier with Gorsuch?
Sure.
All right. See, that's why we have him here, folks. That hard-hitting
Where's the sports center break?
Yeah. You got sports prepared?
I need my... Where's my World Cup scores?
The Red Sox are currently getting their ass beat, thank God.
By whom? Tampa? Tell me it's Tampa.
I'm pretty sure it's the Angels.
The Devil Rays.
I'd have to double check, but sure.
Now,
I'm pretty sure it's Anaheim.
What's all your affiliations?
Oh, okay. I am a big Yankees fan for baseball.
Yeah.
But I grew up a Yankees fan, so I didn't just,
that's fine.
I didn't jump on the bandwagon. For football, I'm a big Chicago Bears fan.
Yeah. And
for basketball, I mean, college, I root for IU. NBA, I always go for the Pacers until they get knocked out in the first round. And then I go for, anyone that's not Golden State or LeBron James. So.
And then Pittsburgh Penguins.
I'm Pittsburgh Penguins. I kind of keep up with hockey. I watch a game a year.
Oh, okay.
I'll keep up with the scores. Yeah. But the guy who kind of got me into it was a Penguins fan, so that's why I root for them.
I'm a pretty hardcore Chicago Blackhawks fan. Everybody that knows me sees my Blackhawks coffee mug.
There's a lot of it. Sean chose not to wear a Blackhawks hat, though. He's got the Guardian Brewing Company
from Muncie.
When I walked in the door, I thought it was the Raiders. I'm wearing my Colts T-shirt tonight. Dakota doesn't have anything. He's not repping anything. He's just got the gray and white horizontal stripes.
I'll be honest. I watched the championship game of the first year of the two-peat for the Penguins. Mm-hmm. And it was the last game to win it all, and it ended. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought there was still another period left or something. I was so confused. I was like, why are they celebrating? There's more left of the game.
We're still in the third, guys.
Yeah, I had no idea.
All right, Dakota's found his way back in. We have
how was your poop?
Wait a minute. We had a
bad.
We had a $50 bet on the 8 years whether or not you're having a kid.
Yep.
We hadn't put a number on it yet, but I had 1 and he had a 2, so it was 1.
What are you talking about?
What you had to do? A 1 or a 2?
I had to pee really bad.
All right, so you
It's
owe me
all
20
this
bucks.
beer that Sean's been giving me, man.
$20.
I'm a pusher.
$20? You bet $20 on that?
$20.
I didn't bet nothing.
Half of it's yours.
I just saw you walking out. I was like, he definitely has to poop.
I told you before I left I had to pee.
I know.
All right. One more thing we wanted to get into today. It's the laws in the state of Indiana.
Weird laws.
July 1st, we get into the new laws that come into play. That's when, except for the cold beer or the warm beer on Sundays. Thanks, Tom. We got warm beer at least. We got beer on Sundays. That kicked in right away while they were still in session because the governor needed a photo op of him buying some Indiana-made beer during the session. We love you, Governor Holcomb. Thank you for signing that one. And
We do have Indiana-made beer tonight.
We do. What am I drinking? You brought this. It's 450 North Payday. The Hoppy
Columbus,
Pilsner,
Indiana.
made in Columbus, the hometown of Vice President of the United States, Michael R. Pence, and Tony Stewart, who's racing tonight in Rushville, by the way.
Hmm.
There was nobody. I went to Rush County Fair last night with Mark Rutherford, the Libertarian Party of Indiana Secretary of State candidate, who everybody needs to vote for. I went down there, and everybody's like, oh, there's nobody here tonight. Why not? Tony's coming tomorrow. Get Tony Stewart coming tomorrow night. Nobody's here tonight. We're all coming to see Tony.
Waiting for the next day.
It was a quiet night at Rush County.
One of the points that I wanted to make about the laws for the new laws that are going into effect, Governor Holcomb had 900 laws that were proposed in the legislature. 210 actually made it to his desk. All right, 210 is actually the fewest laws that have made it to his desk since 2012. That seems insane to me. That's a lot of laws that are being made every year.
A lot of bills. Yeah, a lot of bills.
Okay,
yeah.
now, does 2012 feel like that long ago to you, Sean?
I mean, it was 6
I'm
years
getting
ago.
old. I'm getting old.
I feel like it's just the other day.
Yeah.
I was a senior in high school.
I was a junior in high school.
I was running for state representative.
I graduated from law school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I had the job I have now.
Sean's done very well for his life.
I found the house I live in now in 2012, and I ran for office. It's basically a reboot. I'm just doing the same thing year after year after year. I'm getting married in a week, but I mean, it's the same thing over and over and over. Anyway.
Except for this.
Except for the show, which is amazing. Can't
Always
wait.
Good.
Can't wait until we have a mortgage for the show.
The
Give
first,
us your money.
The first bill that we had is something that's very near and dear to our hearts as libertarians, which is civil asset forfeiture. I don't know how you feel about that, Sean.
I feel strongly about it.
You feel strongly?
Strongly. I have strong feelings about it.
Are you a proponent or an opponent?
I'm against civil asset forfeiture as it stands right now. So when it was introduced as, this is something we're going to do, it was always because, well, we're going to put money in the common school fund. We're going to help the kids. We're going to take the money from the drug dealers and give it to kids.
Kind of like the new gas tax, where
doesn't happen.
We're going to use this for the roads.
Right.
Well, 80% of it goes to general fund.
So there is
fake news.
When we mentioned the Supreme Court of the United States, there is a case from Indiana, I believe, that was granted cert on that, and it's an Eighth Amendment issue.
Granted cert. This isn't the West Wing, so we got to explain stuff.
So
granted cert.
I just say stuff, and it just sounds good.
I know it's not. But Sorkin's not writing this stuff. We got to explain for the guy driving across. What the hell is cert?
When someone or when a case is granted cert to the Supreme Court, it means that the Supreme Court has looked at this case. They have decided that they're going to accept it and decide it because they have, much like the Supreme Court of Indiana, which they're granted transfer instead of cert. But in the Supreme Court of the United States, they are granted cert a certiorari. For all my federal law friends out there.
They're all watching right now.
They grant cert. That's
Both
just
of
what
your
lawyers.
friends.
That's the shorthand for it. It's but the Supreme Court has accepted this case from Indiana based upon the civil asset forfeiture laws and based upon the Eighth Amendment of the United States Constitution. So that talks about excessive bail and things like that. I believe that the case involves a Land Rover that was worth like $42,000, but the guy only had like $300 worth of drugs in the car.
So the Eighth Amendment
car.
said excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments.
So if he was maxed out on his fines for the offense that he was charged with, say he gets convicted, that would be like 4, 5, 6 times the value of the fine versus the car. So they're getting a $44,000 car, but they could have only fined him maybe $5,000 at most.
So they're stealing from him. In
Policing for profit, and it's legalized theft in a lot of instances. I mean, the way it's supposed to work is that they seize the asset, and then the money goes into the school fund. That's not how that works in a lot of jurisdictions. So there's a lot of litigation, both at the state level as well as the federal level, to deal with this issue of civil asset forfeiture.
There's a guy named Paul in Indianapolis. Him striking out his name here.
Paul Fabric?
No. Not Paul. Not our friend
That's the
Paul.
one.
That's the one?
Yep.
You recognize the name, right?
No, he's written for Reason. He's been a pretty big Paul Ogden. Do you know Paul Ogden's name at all?
I know his name. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Ogden has worked as he's
I've
an
read his
attorney in
blog.
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And he's got a blog down there.
I've read his blog.
But
many times.
he's been this has been a big issue of Paul's.
Absolutely.
Big leader on this one.
I would read anything he wrote on that.
And he's talked. I think there's only Wayne County and maybe 3 other counties were actually following the law in the state of Indiana, properly doing the properly applying the law for civil asset forfeiture.
Yes. Because it's not here's the issue. It's in the Indiana Constitution that the forfeiture would go to that. So it's the Constitution versus the legislature's workaround of the Constitution.
Where a lot of times right now it goes into the operating budgets of our local sheriff's departments
Or prosecutor's office, or
Right.
drug task
Law
force, or law enforcement. Yeah, in general.
Yeah, and if you watch Live PD, I've mentioned that show
Yeah.
a lot on the show. I've heard them talk about on that show, the sheriff's deputies. They're like, yeah, we're going to seize this guy's car. We're probably going to send it to auction.
Yeah.
He's like, asset forfeiture is really big for us and how we get our funding. And I'm like,
This is ours now.
How do you justify that in your mind?
So-
and like, these are people that are pulled over for drug offenses, right? So that they might have, a kilo of cocaine in their car, and all of a sudden their car is being taken. All the money that they had on them is being taken, and they're going to prison.
I want
So
to make it clear though, it's not the system is set up in a way that it creates incentive that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we want to defund a sheriff's department by
Right.
any means. They need to have the tools and the operating funds to do their job, and we need to fund that appropriately through the right methods. But going after a guy and trying to take something from them is not the right way to do it.
And
Right.
keep in mind that civil asset forfeiture is prior to any conviction.
Right? It's
So
done
you could go to
separately.
trial and you could be found not guilty, but your stuff's already seized.
It
and
is
taken.
gone.
literally stealing for personal gain. Like that is all civil asset.
Policing for profit.
Yeah, that's all it is, and it's totally wrong. Well, it's just like seatbelt laws. Like, I mean, if we're getting into it,
Now, there's also criminal forfeiture in some ways where after you're convicted, then say like if you're convicted for a gun offense, the gun would be
Then they take the
destroyed
gun.
or whatever else.
Right,
you
like-
know, so
so the DNR does a lot of that.
So-
Where they'll set up like robotic deer out into a public land where you're not supposed to hunt, and then they'll spot a guy that all of a sudden is using a spotlight in the middle of the night, and he shoots it with a shotgun, and he doesn't have a hunting license. So they
It's a little
they-
deer honeypot scandal is what it is.
entrapment.
Yeah.
That robot deer just looked too good. I couldn't
Oh.
shoot it.
I was driving down State Road
the
3
honey.
and off to the
Or-
west side of the road. I saw that doe.
or if they
I
catch
just had to
you
stop
like
my Ranger and pull out the gun.
they catch
thought you were
you
supposed to shoot
and
back.
Well, you can take either one.
I don't know.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Just shoot him. If it's brown, it's down,
Seen it.
baby. But
I've seen it.
but,
Case is showing videos on the internet of things we've seen. It's a
totally
woman doing a
inappropriate.
terrible thing with a hot dog. But you can Google it. It's out there.
Sorry, it was just cracking me up.
For the record, it completely disappeared, and then she brought it back. Anyway,
He just needs relief from the civil asset forfeiture talk.
so
that's
this
a special talent.
But okay, so let's get into the new law.
wait, yeah. So Senate Enroll Act 99 says the prosecutor basically has 7 days or the property is returned. So now at this point, the law is going to incentivize every prosecutor to take everything you ever have
Yeah, I mean,
just to be safe.
the state can file paperwork. This is
Yeah.
what the state does. So
It's their job.
it's kind of their job, And I know a lot of prosecutors. I have
now in Henry County they can only file it 4 days a week, so they've got to get on it because we're closed on Mondays.
Well, the clerk's office works 5 days a week, so they're the ones that accept the filing, not necessarily the recorder's office or wherever else. But
clerk's office is closed Wednesday and Thursday next week. I know this because I got to go ask permission from the state of Indiana to marry my fiance.
They're also
go Friday,
but it also gives me a chance to like go and take a vacation and not have to take a lot of work days. I just love it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Whatever. I can't wait to cheer you and Katie on in about 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months, 6 years, same thing.
So the prosecutor's really good at filing paperwork.
Yes.
If he wants to, he will. And so I don't really see this as a huge boon to Liberty. It's just it makes the state jump through more hoops that the state can jump through, because that's kind of what the state does.
It's one of those things where you read it and you're like, wow, this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then you go,
yeah, exactly.
How many times do they not have the paperwork filed in 7 days? You know, like, because I imagine most prosecutors are pretty good at their jobs. You know, I like to think that anyway.
Our elected prosecutor, he does a good job. You know, he is somebody that works hard, and he has a lot of staff people that are able to help him with this. So if it comes to it, it'll get filed. It's not a matter of, oh, man, I'm so busy, I can't file this and whatever. You know, so...
Well, this says that the prosecutor must file it.
His office.
Yeah, his office. Yeah.
No, I don't want any assistance.
I don't want to break the illusion to you, but Joe Burgess does not walk down to the prosecutor's office and hand the clerk paperwork. It's all electronic.
Have you filed something with the clerk's office? Debbie Walker doesn't sign everything. They have a stamp.
The clerk's office has electronic capabilities.
So
I don't have to pay $1 per page anymore. They can actually upload stuff to a computer.
I am not getting in between you and the clerk's office because they like me, so I want to keep that up.
No, I have no qualms with the ladies that work at the clerk's office. They just have to follow a crappy law.
Well, and we've moved to an e-filing system, so say when I file a motion, that's all electronic. It's all, I don't hand a piece of paper to the clerk. I don't hand a piece of paper to the judge. It's all, here's this electronic document. Here's this PDF. Sign it. You know, here's this Word document.
You guys just use Google Docs because it's free?
Well, we have to file it with Odyssey, so it's all an e-filing system. But no, this is an illusion of there's going to be more work, there's more oversight being done, which in reality doesn't really make any difference.
Right.
This is an illusion.
All right. So
which I don't mean to like belittle the people that worked on this. You know, it does make more work for the state, but at the same time...
If you're so unhappy with the way government is, why the hell isn't your name on the ballot, Sean?
Just a little busy with the practice of law.
Why didn't you talk to me before Sunday, Sean? I could have put you up against Tom Saunders.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Not this time.
All right, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you. All right, we're talking about sex education.
I'm glad you faded that out.
Yeah. we're talking about sex education in schools. This is public schools, obviously. It is now. This is really weird.
Starting July 1st.
Yeah, starting July 1st, parents can now opt out of sex ed in schools. Teachers and classes also have to send home.
That will help with the teen pregnancy.
Yes, Jared, this is what you need to know.
Oh. That's
when two people love each other. That's very much.
That looks like two of the same thing. Is that because it's Pride Month, or is that you need a different one?
Whatever you want it to be.
Okay. All right. Write it. I'm writing that down.
They connect, Jer.
I got to go back to high school.
You love someone very much, you connect with that person.
Connect deep down.
That's what I'm trying to say, you pervert.
Are you giving him pointers for the honeymoon, or what's going on?
Apparently, that's what's going on. Chase is going to have the unscheduled speech during the wedding rehearsal, or during the rehearsal.
I'll sit you down on my knee.
Yeah.
I'll be like, listen here, son.
Yeah. All right.
Son.
Son.
He's 13 years older than you.
We realized yesterday that he's like a year or two older than my mom's boyfriend.
That's pretty good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Great revelation.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I
You could be Chase's stepdad.
Well, if things don't work out with Sarah, I guess I'll call.
Does he want to be?
He does take me fishing a lot.
He does, yeah. He's trying to teach you the way of the road, man.
Yep.
All right. So back to sex education. So the schools also have to send home a notice with the students to the parents to tell them what they're going to be covering, what the lesson plan is. As a libertarian, this is kind of difficult for me to come to a conclusion as to what I feel is right versus wrong, because obviously we believe that parents have the ultimate responsibility to their students. But I also understand that a lot of times parents just, that has to be the most awkward situation. I mean, I don't have children.
Here's the way I look at it. If you have school choice as a parent. If you want to send your kid to public school, you can send your kid to public school. If you want to homeschool your kid, you homeschool your kid. If you want to go to private school, you do what Chase did, and you go to a school of 3 kids. Any of those
18, but I graduated in a class of 3.
Right, you had a class of 3. Yeah. So but that's the entire school corporation had 3 kids. Or 18 kids in your deal.
Yes.
3?
It varied year to year.
My school corporation had 3. It was my brother, my sister, and myself. And that's fine. And you can make any choice you want. But once you decide you're going to go into the school, then you sign up for the school's curriculum.
Yep.
Then if the parents want to get in and negotiate and say, "Hey, I prefer you do this," and you don't do that, then you can work something out with the school if you want to.
Right. So that's what I was thinking. My whole qualm with this is it should not be delegated by the state. This should be a local school board's responsibility. If a parent comes to a school board and says, I want to opt out, I don't want my child to go through your sex education course, I can take care of it myself, then the school board should vote on that, and then that is how it's decided. Not necessarily delegated by the state, because I'm all about giving the schools on the local level as much power as possible. I don't even want the Department of Education for the federal government to exist. I don't think Betsy DeVos should even have a job. So I think that
she doesn't either, so it's fine.
Exactly. So that's why
somebody's got to collect all those student loans. Somebody's got to count
exactly
all that money.
Right,
That's what Brant does every day. Patreon supporter Brant Spicer. He's just sitting there
collecting those loans, baby.
Deleting your student loan payments for you.
Deleting them, yeah. I need to get in touch with him.
If you call Solly May, ask for Brant. He'll take care of you. Tell him the Boss Hog of Liberty sent you. He'll clear off your federal student loans.
But yeah, I totally agree with you, Jeremiah. Whenever you say that whenever you sign up for public school, you are accepting their curriculum, and if you want it changed, then you should be able to go to the school board and they should change it. There's way too many avenues for people to go through, for the school board to go through to get curriculum changed, because our school boards have basically 0% effect on the curriculum that gets taught inside of the schoolhouse.
Top down just doesn't work very well. All right, let's go rapid fire here. The next one is a fun one. It's it's purple paint. So apparently at Walmart, you're not going to be able to find any purple paint for a while, because starting July 1st, if you paint your trees purple, and there's some I guess some places you have to paint your tree. It has to be 3 foot high and 8 feet long. So you got to have a tall tree. You can't just paint your mailbox purple.
There's
8 inches long.
8 inches. I'm sorry, 8 inches. I got to bring it in close. I'm
8 inches.
I'm over 30, so I got to look close up here, Sean.
The redwoods here.
It's a small font. 8 inches long, purple paint on a tree over 3 foot high means stay the hell off my ground, as Eric Holcomb said.
I kind of like this law. I think it's pretty good, because you don't have to. I think that it's going to make it a lot easier as a person who spent some time out in the woods, doing backpacking, hunting, what have you.
It will help you to identify private property.
Absolutely, because sometimes you come across this old wire fence that has been in that woods for 50 years, and you don't know what it means, and someone has told you in the past, oh, that's all public property, and you go, oh, okay, and then all of a sudden you come across this fence, and you're like, what the heck does this mean? If I cross this fence, am I in private property?
That's when you get out the Google Maps and you figure out where you're at.
What was the
and
law
then you
before?
Get Beacon Schneider.
Did you just have to have a no trespassing sign?
So in the past, what you would have is you would have no trespassing sign set up, and say you're a hunter and you wanted to claim ignorance, you could go steal his no trespassing signs a couple weeks before, throw them away, they don't get put back up, and then you can claim, oh, I didn't know anything about it. That's my Southern Indiana voice for you, Dakota.
I'll be honest. If I see a purple mark on a tree, I'm just like, oh, Barney was there. He's a big Barney fan.
Now you know.
Now you know. Someone can shoot you if you're past that purple line, and that can be totally legal.
Nobody can shoot you.
You're on their property.
They just can't
No
let
shotgun
you.
traps. No
We have-
bombs.
We
no
have
landmines.
we have leash laws for this. I can't take Chase on someone's property without with a leash that's longer than 6 feet long.
Okay.
So if I don't have him on a proper leash,
How
then
often,
he can get shot.
How often
He's not
do
a
you
puppy.
plan on putting me on a leash?
As long as you want to, until you're trained up.
Ooh.
50 Shades of Dakota over there on that side of the room.
Pride Month 2018.
So the purple paint's going to be so I have 2 trees in my front yard. I guess I got to paint them purple to keep people the hell off my lawn.
That's right.
Dakota,
All right.
Dakota doesn't have any trees, so he's screwed.
I have a red cedar tree. It's very nice.
Is it out front?
No, it's in the back.
No. So by the time you get there, they've already violated your civil rights.
You want to come over and help me paint my fence purple?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
It'll be fun.
All right, speaking of private property, another law we have is Airbnbs, and what the heck is going on with them? So House Bill 1035 prohibits bans on Airbnbs, so your local municipality or city cannot create an ordinance that bans Airbnbs, but local governments can charge a fee to the owner of the property of $150.
I bet Darren Jacobs gets in line quick for that one, huh?
Yeah, I bet he does. No,
I represent the Area Planning Commission for Henry County, and I will plead the fifth.
dang Darren,
You
trying
need
to
bring-
get rich off this county. Dang it!
Yeah, Darren. He's just trying to
Typical-
crush people's freedom.
Typical Darren.
Resident socialist.
Token.
That's right.
Token
Token socialist. He's a resident socialist too.
Cindy Brooks posted something about earlier this week on Facebook about why are all these sirens running around Spiceland right now? She lives in Spiceland. Obviously, somebody had chickens and they found them.
Chicken Man.
Matt Pierce had to go down, lights on, and eradicate.
That's right.
That's what happened.
Dang it, man. He's looking for more assets to seize.
Oh, God. Matt's not going to talk to you for a week now.
He might pull our Patreon donation.
Be careful. He's not. He's one of our new Patreon donors, and he's been giving me a gift every day in Pokemon.
I
since they gave
have
us
a bone to
gifting.
pick. I have a bone to pick with
I need
Matt.
to stay on Matt's good side.
I have a bone to pick with Matt because I waved at him today from my bucket truck, and he didn't wave back.
Was
so
he paying attention? He might have been running your plates,
He could have been. I don't know.
investigating.
I just got my CDL physical. Okay, so I'm legal now.
You're good now. You can smoke weed again all year long. To take your next one.
All year long.
But remember, if you get pulled over, you need to Kegel it.
All right.
All right.
Speaking
so,
about eyeballs and smoking weed and them getting red, you can no longer tattoo the whites of your eyes. in
well,
the state
you have
of
until
Indiana.
July 1st, so you got a couple
Yeah.
more days to get your Post Malone
see-
tattoo on your eyeball.
Yeah. Go see Chad Rao at Underdog's Tattoo Gallery, and he can get you fixed up first. But, and what's weird is the website that I was looking at had zero explanation for this law. It's like it just appeared out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you can't get the whites of your eyes tattooed.
I would presume that tattoo parlors
Most
answer
of them
to-
probably said, no, don't do that anyway, right? Was this really a problem?
That's what you wonder about. It was, first of all, was this really a problem? Here's probably what happened. It happened to somebody, and somebody got really, really hurt, or
Yeah.
something happened.
They
And
went
so
blind.
their family member reached out to a legislature. This became a bill. Everybody's like, okay, people should be tattooed their eyeballs.
Fine, no eyeball tattoos.
This is how
I'll
this
agree to it.
happens.
As long as you vote for my road funding increase, I'll vote for your stupid
Eyeball.
tattoo eyeball thing. Yeah.
Speaking of
gotcha.
tattoos, Jer, when are you getting yours?
When we get
You owe the viewers.
We have surpassed
Ooh.
1,000 downloads
Where are we at?
a few times.
Well, okay, so here's my rider. I will get the Morrell family crest when somebody else pays for it. If Dakota pays for it, I'll get it done.
We have a Patreon feed.
We'll go to Chad. we'll go to Chad Rao or Rowe. I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I'm afraid. I'm trigger nervous, gun shy on saying Rao or Rowe because it's ROWE, but God only knows. Mike
Could
Rowe is
be
more
anybody.
famous than you are.
I know.
That's the problem.
My
You realize
ancestors
that, right?
made my life a little bit more difficult than it should be.
Half my family thinks that we're the Morrells, so it's whatever. I understand.
Yeah.
So
All right.
So no more eyeball tattoos.
No more
eyeball
eyeball
tattoos.
tattoos.
R.I.P.
And then
eyeball.
that leads us into another fun piece of legislation, which is abortion.
Abortion's always fun.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Yes, let's wind down the show with a little abortion talk. There's 4 guys around a table. Let's talk about this for the lady
Who
folk.
came up with this? Who came
you
up
know,
with this list?
you don't have to be a lady to have
He
proper.
left off my favorite one.
You don't have to be a
Gotta
lady.
get to that.
Yeah, you don't have to be a lady to have proper morals. That's just
Or
what I'm
morels.
saying. Morals.
Nobody knows.
Either or.
Jeremiah, didn't you say the best form of abortion was the stairs?
That's my brother. No, that was Danny.
That was Danny.
No, I
believe that.
My bad.
I won't quote him because I don't want to ruin his life.
But apparently, starting on July 1st, clinics must report complications due to abortions to the state, and fire stations can now set up any kind of baby boxes that they want. So
we've got baby boxes all over the state. What did the state have to do with saying okay to these? What did they do?
There were some hoops with local municipalities and cities that fire stations had to jump through, but the state basically came in and swept and said, you don't have to deal with this anymore. If you want to set up a baby box, set up a baby box. Maybe baby.
I'm craving baby back ribs now. And I don't know why.
Go see what Planned Parenthood can hook you up with.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah,
No.
You should be. They're murderers.
What was the one that you wanted?
So I put one in the group chat about dams, and Chase and I went looking. We've scouted two reservoirs here in the last week and a half about dams. The state of Indiana says that on DNR properties or any public dams, you could not boat or fish within 300 yards of a dam.
Jared, did you break that rule?
So I don't. This is what I need to find out. There are no cones posted at Westwood. There are at Summit Lake in
Lake
Henry
Westwood.
County. At Lakewood, whatever. You two and your renaming of things. Lake Doughboy, whatever. Anyway, so the state of Indiana says within 300 yards, you couldn't take your boat or fish, and there were little buoys out there marking that. Now they're saying we can go 200 yards. Now Chase tells me the best fishing is right up on the dam. So for the last 15 years or so, you can't go. I know at Brookville you can't go up on the dam. You can't at Summit Lake. Westwood, I think maybe because it's the Blue River Conservancy instead of a DNR property, you can go right up on that dam. So we fished it, and it's a huge drop off. We had the trolling motor running, and we were backing up off the spillway. And Chase is like, Jer. We damn near hit the dam with the back of the boat.
It was close. I was like, Jared, you might want to move forward a little bit.
I had.
I'm sure that's exactly the way you said it too.
I had rotated.
It was close.
You might want to.
It's not my boat. So.
We just kissed it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we sank it, what's going to happen?
True. We would have just walked on land.
We've just been right there, right?
Now we both almost died on Jeremiah's boat.
No, Dakota,
Might
you
just
had
be Jer.
You had a much scarier moment than Chase did. I will promise.
Yeah,
Okay.
ours wasn't life threatening.
I was nervous on yours. I wasn't worried about Chase's incident
Why do you think I've never gone out with him since?
because you haven't been invited.
Thanks for the heads up.
That was sketchy. Yeah. There was a waterfall involved with the Dakota incident. You can go back and listen to the a previous it was July.
We talked about
July
it on
2018.
65 last week.
Yeah,
so
it's real. But no, it was. Gosh, we really got into it on one episode. So that's that. I think that's the end of that's really the end of the programming.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything
I
else?
mean, that's it. No,
right.
I'm good.
Sean, buddy, you got anything to promote? Any big trials you want people to show up
No.
for and cheer you on? Hold signs?
Your beer is really good.
Thank you. I selected it. Now I do homebrew, but it wasn't ready today.
None of this was toilet beer or tub beer.
It's not toilet beer.
I made it in the toilet.
But next
Let's
time
go to
maybe
prison. Did you ever watch that movie with Will Arnett?
Yes.
It's one of my favorites.
People make alcohol in prison and jails.
Let's
It
go to
just
prison.
happens.
I made it in the toilet. This is toilet wine.
And I do know people that have made toilet hooch. Save that for another day. Save that for another day. But no, I've enjoyed homebrewing lately. That's my new hobby, and maybe next time I'll bring some to share with you guys.
There's a question from the future Mrs. Morrell.
Mhm.
She's
And-
very concerned about this one.
And
I don't know why.
It's a question for the lawyer.
Uh-oh.
Prenup or no prenup?
Oh,
Prenup.
how much money does he have though?
I don't know.
I'm gonna
What's your net worth, buddy?
write a number down.
Jared, make her sign the prenup.
The peanut?
Did you ever watch? Did
Is
you?
she
The
trying to
peanut and the
All right.
prenup.
Is she
Sean,
trying to protect her asset though?
No. I'm assuming her debt. Sean, let's put it this way. Did you ever watch watch Silicon Valley and they
Yeah.
talk about being in the 4 or 5 comma club?
I don't know. I
No,
didn't see
okay.
that.
So I'm like, we'll put it this way. I'm 100,000-aire. I'm not anything like. There's
Oh,
nothing.
snap.
Oh,
I've got a house and a 401k.
yeah.
It's not exactly like we're bajillionaires over
Okay.
here. I think she's worried about not much.
I mean,
I know we're getting a lot of cool gifts. Every time I come home, there's like my buddy Joe Canary, the school teacher down in Knightstown. He stopped by and dropped some stuff off the other day. He's like, Jeremiah, you have a serious Amazon addiction and you need to work on it. I'm like, no, I don't, Joe. Everybody's sending me stuff right now. Every time I turn around, there's like 3 boxes outside.
Yeah. So you, gosh, this is a difficult question. Did you sign a prenup when you got married?
No, I did not,
Mr. Lawyer.
because I had no money and my wife had no money.
Because you had true love.
Just true love, baby. just the love of my life. That's it.
Yeah. Well, Sarah's asked this question 3 times in the live chat.
Well,
so
She just wants to know how much of my stuff she gets to take, I think. She wants to know if she gets the deep end or the shallow end of the pool.
Well,
I
it's
think
all,
that's
it's
I
all
think that's the
split
deal.
50-50. I mean, you look at the debts, you look at the assets, you split it in half, and
it's
off
done.
you go. And
Dakota,
off you
did
go.
you make Audrey sign a prenup?
no.
So she
You
can
had to
take,
hesitate? I could
she
tell you.
can take half the show.
No. She can't
Dakota
take
already
half the
has
show.
dreams about how Jeremiah has half. Nightmares, really.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before, too.
Yep. She's not on the title for the house, though, so I won't be homeless.
Good.
Well,
So you think.
that's marital property. And if you die, she gets to take over the mortgage if she wants.
You have
It's marital
kids, you're
property
screwed.
now. Yeah.
You have kids, you're screwed.
On this fun note,
Well, we got all these happy marriages, and we're just going over the autopsy of what looks like if nothing.
She's
if something
the
terrible
one that
happens.
introduces me as her first husband.
She does.
Oh.
No, I'm just joking. I saw that on Twitter today. I thought it was hilarious.
My Uncle Jim always said he's looking for his next ex-wife. So
We really do. I do a lot of family law, so maybe next time I can do more divorce
Do you have
and
any,
custody issues.
wait a minute.
Hmm.
Do you have any Bash Kreider stories for me? Because he didn't have any Katie Manning stories last week.
Like professionally or personally?
I don't know, just a
This
little
is
professional.
this is your
Give us
final
something.
thoughts.
All right,
you're really
Give us
putting me-
something.
Here's the deal,
You're
Sean.
really putting me on the spot.
I just want like generalities.
yes.
But you know how sometimes it's fun to play with the electric fence and just touch it and go,
Yes.
oh, God, that's
Yes.
Have you ever
Just-
peed on an electric
Yeah.
fence?
hot. Just tap it and have a little fun.
By the way,
Do you
Sean,
want to?
By the
No,
way, Sean, this has to be good because these are your final thoughts. So
Yeah.
we're putting you on the spot.
You really are. See, I brought a freaking yellow notepad and everything. I've got everything here.
We're almost 2 hours into the show. This has cost us like $600 so far, guys. I hope it was worth it.
I really have to pee.
I already have to pee again. Okay.
Here's my cup. It's Dakota, so you
hold
don't
on,
have to
hold
wash
on.
it.
I'm done.
All right, good.
Yeah.
He has nothing. That's okay.
I've got really nothing. We didn't have many cases together, so it's kind of hard for me to think. And then a lot of things relate to our personal friendship, which I would not
Gotcha.
breach, and I hope he doesn't either.
I have a
If
question
he shows
for
up, yes.
How many times
Would you-
How many times has he walked across his house naked and you'd be like, God dang it. Close your blinds, man.
He just goes shirtless, man. He
I know.
can.
He showed up
can.
at the studio last week shirtless
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
goes
a
shirtless.
baby's
Guys
arm
like
holding
us.
an apple.
We're not doing that. We're not.
I'm not doing it.
No.
I don't want to think about how many times Zach Bertram across the street has seen me in my underwear.
Would you trust his cooking?
Oh yes. He's cooked delicious
It
meals
sounds
for me.
Delicious.
He did one of my favorite things he ever did was candied bacon. So that was amazing. That was like brown sugar and maple and kind of fried, but it was real sticky and crispy, and that was amazing.
I told him last week that you and him need to enter a partnership, and you supply the beer, and he supplies the meat.
we might have talked about that. The problem
Did you
is
really?
the problem is he's better at the meat than I am at the beer right now.
You'll get it, man. I believe
it'll
in
come
you.
down. It'll work out.
I was really looking forward to trying some of your home.
I know.
brews.
I felt bad because it wasn't conditioned right yet. So next time though.
When it gets done, you know where I live.
Next time though, I'll bring it to you guys.
I want to try that because Bell's Two Hearted is one of my favorite, just everyday drinking beers.
I don't know that this is gonna be like Bell's though. I think
wanna try
it's
it,
gonna
though.
be like it's gonna be an IPA. It's gonna work, but
All right, when you know where I live, bring it over.
I do know where you are.
Have you ever forced friendship, Dakota? Is this new to you?
Jeremiah's
new to
really
me, yeah.
good
Just
at
with Jeremiah.
You no, it's the other way around. You don't say bring it over. You say, hey, I'll be over at 6.
Yeah.
And then you show
Yeah.
up.
I don't know where Sean lives though.
We can Google it.
Go to
prove
Beacon.
ourselves. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's across from Bash's house.
Yeah. The old house.
That's how you prove yourself. So that next time he has that capital offense trial, he's like, I need a Googler. I've got Jer and
Yeah.
Dakota.
I found your house.
All
That's
right,
not
man.
creepy.
We're an hour and 46 minutes into this. Are we going to get to final thoughts?
We're
yet?
on final thoughts. These are Sean's final thoughts.
Are they really?
Final thoughts, real quick. This is going to be a huge decision on the Supreme Court. But again, it's going to come down for me.
This is your final pitch.
My final pitch.
Look directly into the camera and look at President Trump.
Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, President Trump. Don't forget that part of the Constitution. It's important. So choose somebody that's a true constitutional conservative or someone that's liberty-minded towards these issues.
Do you want another Anthony Kennedy? Is that the guy you want?
He wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
He wasn't the worst.
Vote for Pedro.
So okay, let's go this way. Your final. There's 9 justices now.
Yes.
Pick one that you want him to emulate.
Man, that's tough. You guys are just putting me on the spot.
Gorsuch?
I would not mind another Kennedy. I
Huh?
really wouldn't, because he was with,
Because Bush wins again.
well, get another W. Another W on the
And then we're
board.
starting another war.
But that's the important part. You need to look at other parts of the Constitution other than the Second Amendment. We love the Second Amendment, but there's other parts of the Constitution
We
there.
like all the amendments except for that 21st or that 18th one.
Yeah,
We fixed it with the 21st. Yeah, and
comes down to that.
And the 16th. The 16th can just suck it. Really, I'm not a big fan of the 16th either. For the rest of them, they're pretty good.
Or the second.
Screw you, Chase.
But thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate that. Those are my final
I
thoughts.
have some final
All right.
thoughts.
Chase, what do you
I
got
have
for
a
us?
few.
The 16th, by the way, is the one that gives you the income tax. So, if in case you're Googling right now, it's the
So-
16th is the income tax.
I want to train Dakota.
All right.
I want to test you to see what answers you'll have if you do get picked to be on the jury.
Okay.
Bill Clinton, guilty or not guilty?
Of what?
Ooh.
Well, I don't really know. I don't know all the I wasn't alive then.
Okay,
I don't remember
all right,
it.
move on. Bill Cosby.
It's bullshit. There's no way. You weren't
When
alive
were
in
you
1999.
Oh yeah, I was 4.
Okay.
My
Well,
memories
still-
were just my cerebral cortex was just starting to formulate memories.
All right, Bill Cosby, guilty, not guilty.
Guilty.
O.J. Simpson, guilty or not guilty?
Oh. If I was sitting on the jury, I would say
Love didn't fit.
okay. I would say
You
not,
must have quit.
I would say not guilty because the prosecution did a crappy job.
Okay. Litigator Sean over here. Do you see the problem with what he just did?
I see exactly the problem with
What did he do?
He did. If I was on the jury,
Before, other than
You
that,
are on the
he
jury,
claimed,
Dakota.
He claimed I wasn't alive and didn't know with Bill Clinton, but then the O.J.
Oh.
Simpson was the exact same
before.
time.
Yeah, before
Yeah.
actually. OJ was
Because
way
I-
before.
Man, I've watched The People versus O.J. Simpson like 4 times.
That is unacceptable.
Yeah.
I can't accept that logic.
I
That
don't
is
really.
very poor.
I don't know all the facts.
I remember
That's
seeing
it.
the OJ verdict when I was in elementary school.
The only thing I know about Bill Clinton is he said, "I
What's
did
your
not
birthday,
have
Sean?
85.
What did he say?
85, 83. Okay, all right.
What'd he say?
I'm just a little older. A little,
smidge.
a little.
Smidge.
Oh, snap. All right, Charles Manson,
guilty or not guilty."
guilty or not guilty?
He didn't kill anyone,
Okay, so
Good point. Good point.
so not guilty.
Okay,
Not
all right.
guilty of murder. I mean, he didn't kill anyone physically.
Tom Brady.
Guilty of what?
Did you see what he put on Barstool today?
I didn't see what he put on Barstool, but the footballs, man,
It was very dirty.
Oh, Deflategate.
Deflategate.
Hmm.
What did he put on?
I'm not getting into it.
Or, I want to know, Jared.
It was.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna say
no,
guilty. I'm gonna say guilty because he has a dumb face.
It was a dirty sexual act,
Ooh.
and it had to do with rhinos
Hey,
or hippos,
I
and
learned,
he was apparently he's into that sort of a thing.
I
Hey.
learned something that had to do with sports this week. Apparently, Tim Tebow plays baseball.
Yeah, for the Mets. Boom. Tim Tebow.
I had no idea. Since 2016.
He's been like in the AA league for the Mets downstream affiliate.
Glad we're talking about both the goats. So, Jer, I've also got a question for you.
All right.
Since we were talking about sex ed,
Yes.
how did your parents break the egg on you?
You mentioned goats, right?
Yes.
So we just had a herd of goats, and they went at it, and that was the way it went down.
Your dad was just like,
He's like,
that's
hey.
how it's done.
Hey, watch this, and then we brought some goats out, and 5 months later we had kids,
You got to put your back into it.
and then sometimes they brought sometimes they brought out the horses if we needed bigger props.
It's kind of sick. I'm not gonna.
We had some
lie.
ponies born on the farm.
I had a friend. Whose
Sean's
parents
just shaking his head,
I had a-
horrified.
I had a really
Animals.
good friend in
Life
high
on Messick
school.
Road.
His parents took him to an IMAX theater to watch a sex ed movie.
In IMAX?
In IMAX. Yeah.
With 3D glasses.
And I thought,
Earmuffs, kids, if you're riding with mom and dad in the car.
and I thought, my God, how horrifying.
Yeah.
My dad took me in the room. And as I was walking towards the room, my mom handed me a bunch of licorice. And she said, son, you're going to need this.
Licorice.
Yeah, it's something to chew on. I don't know.
Mom and dad together?
No, my mom wasn't in the room.
I mean, but they
passed her on the way to the room.
Were your parents together at that point?
Yes.
This is-
yeah,
I'm
that
sorry,
was
we're
before,
going to Chase's
that was
dark-
before my
dark
dad
s-
left us. Thanks, Jeremiah. Thanks, future dad. Thanks for bringing that up.
I'm just asking. I don't know. It's an innocent question.
Huh. Interesting.
So Chase's parents are still together at this point, and they did you end your parents' marriage at this point? So this is what happened. It went that badly. You screwed up that badly as a child that you ended your parents' marriage.
Yeah. 5 years later.
5 years later?
Yeah.
After the sex talk?
Yeah.
So
Wait
there-
a minute.
there was
Whenever I
licorice?
met you, we were 16.
Yes.
So your parents had just separated?
About a year before.
Starting to
that.
feel like
it was
therapy.
still fresh.
We're starting
Huh.
to we're
I
starting to
didn't,
get
I
into
didn't
some
realize
things. I
that there
like
was
it.
such emotional trauma in your life.
Yeah.
I
when
could
I
have
first
been a-
met you, I remember having a conversation with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like,
Who was that? Was
Look
it
at
Sarah?
That was
look at
Sarah.
Chase name
Yes.
dropping girlfriends. Oh,
And,
remember when I had a girlfriend
I
in
was
high
like,
school?
he's a real douche. I don't like him.
Yeah,
She
I
was
said,
She
I
was like,
remember-
you just gotta give him a chance. He's a nice guy. And then we went to the Creation Museum, and there's pictures of us, and my underwear's showing, and it
Okay.
looked like we had a riot in the
Time out. I
hotel
have
room.
not been out with Chase yet that I haven't seen his underwear.
yeah.
I've been out with Chase about 50 times in the last 2 years, year and a half.
That's a lot of dates.
I know Sarah's calling him my boyfriend at this point. It's very sad, but I literally have not gone at a single adventure with Chase where I haven't seen his underwear. So that doesn't count.
If you got it, you flaunt it. I'm not saying I have it, but I have a nice collection of underwear. Like
He
I have
does.
some nice underwear.
Remember, Sean costs us $300 an hour.
It's going to go up to 400. No, it's 500.
Anything else, Chase?
Dakota wasn't a douchebag.
All right,
Hmm.
not a
That's
douchebag.
it.
Write that down. What you got, Dakota?
I guess my final thoughts is that I'm really excited for the future of this show. I really hope that everybody can support us in these endeavors that we're taking on our shoulders, so that we don't really have to stress about it.
Yeah, give us your
To be
money.
honest, I mean, there's enough stress that goes into prepping for this show that I have to research and do all this. writing.
$100 a day.
If what we're getting ready to get into goes terribly wrong, Dakota and I are going to hate each other. We're not going to want to do the show anymore. It's not going to be fun, and it's going to be awful. So
Just
remember us.
put your credit card.
Remember how fun it used to be.
Give us your credit card number. That's free money, anyways.
Free money.
Oh,
anyways.
God. I've lost my breath already.
Huh, interesting. You're not even a Patreon supporter, Chase.
I'm here every Thursday. Jared, do you give
Every
money?
Thursday.
Do I give
Almost
money?
every Thursday.
I've been doing this for 66 episodes now.
I'm on 17 episodes. 17. I am the number 3 co-host.
Yeah, you did surpass Clay Morgan.
I did. And am I the best one available? No. But you know what? I don't have a life, and I'm available.
Well,
I'm not the co-host you want, but I'm the co-host you need.
The best ability is availability. Boom.
That's how they get Sean as defense attorney.
All I'm
I'm
saying
here, baby.
is
I'm
I
here.
was really excited about this tinfoil time, and I've never listened to one episode.
I know, man. There's been like 10.
There's been 8.
What's wrong with you?
I don't.
All right.
Eight is like 10.
Are we done with the hate crimes?
Yeah, we're done with those. Anyway, give us your money. No, but really, I really am super excited about the future for us. Not only us, but the Libertarian Party of Henry County. We got really, really, really good things that are coming down the pipeline. So that's super exciting. I also want to just thank everybody for continuing to listen to us. We've grown exponentially. I sat here and I was writing down some statistics for us today, and I was looking past through the history, looking at analytics and things, and it was like, wow, we have done surprisingly well. And that, like, you never would have guessed that. Like, go back and listen to episode number 2 and think, are these guys ever going to be anything more than just sitting around the pool with microphones?
I think we should go back to the pool.
There's a lot of equipment. Yeah. We did a pool episode. You were there. Yeah. We've come a long way. It's very exciting. I'm thrilled about where this show's gone and where it's going. Big stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, with Dakota with that baby on the way, he's gonna have to this room, so we gotta get the hell out of here.
That's right.
$50
You have a baby
my
on the way?
I'm going to move into Darren Jacobs' territory after this, I think.
You gonna run for town council?
You're a socialist?
I was going to say run for socialists.
Yeah. I'm going to run as a Democrat in the primary just to kick him out.
It's gonna be
Just to spite him.
it's gonna be like Goldwater versus Sanders.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Anyway, that landed flat with you, but everybody in their car is laughing their asses off.
Jeremiah is so funny.
You're welcome.
You're great at the dad jokes. He's so old.
Dakota's gonna be better at the dad jokes before I will. I'm going months at this point. I feel really good about my $50 bet. 7 years, but I think we're
weeks. I'm saying
Weeks.
a couple weeks after Jeremiah's wedding, they're going to announce it.
I don't think there's an announcement to be made yet, but I don't think it's gonna be that long.
I think the seed has been planted.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Too far?
That might have been a little much, yeah.
All right, my bad.
Icarus, there was the sun, and you found it.
I don't think it's planted. I think it's more of attached.
Okay.
Anything else, Dakota?
Jared, that's some sex ed for you.
Yeah.
No goats needed.
In case you didn't learn that from the goats and the horses.
We didn't have microscopes, but I get the general concept.
All right.
Dakota, anything else?
No, I'm good.
That's all you got? All right, here's your primer. We got like 4 shows scheduled in July, which is good. You're going to get a live episode on July 5th, episode 68, with cousin Donnie Morrell, who's flying up that day from Florida. You heard him when we were testing out the new board. He called in, and we did a little episode with Donnie. So Thursday night, you're going to get Danny Morrell, and Donnie, who is 3 times what Danny is as far as unfiltered, and God only knows what's going to happen.
Nice.
So you're going to have an overload of morals, and Sarah Potter wants to make one final appearance as the lovely Sarah Potter before we deface her name and she becomes the lovely Sarah Morrell. So we've got that coming up. We are going to episode 69 is going to be recorded on July 3rd, and we're not going to air it until like July 15th or 20th or something, somewhere that week when I'm on vacation. And we're going to have Mark Brim make his triumphant return, and it's going to be all things 70s and just an old curmudgeon, Mark Brim, who's my age, but he was born 40 years too early, too late.
I love Mark.
So we're gonna have the greatest time ever with Mark. He's out in South Dakota now, keeping a journal of things that are messing him over and things he's unhappy with.
Nice.
So we're gonna have Mark, and we're gonna try to pretend it'd be a lot like last time when Chase was on the show, or one of the previous times when Dakota got married, and we had to hold one in the can for a week to release on the final
That was with
when he got back from the wedding.
That was with American
That was a
hero
good
Scott
episode.
Fleener.
Yeah. So we're gonna
Live updates on the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, we're going to do another one of those with Mark, and God only knows what the predictions are going to be, but if you're listening to the episode, when you get to 69, you'll remember that, and know that we're looking 2 weeks into the future, and Trump probably appointed
Has
Merrick
he
Garland.
been impeached yet?
Oh, at that point, he's probably been convicted. Not only impeached, but it's in the Senate. He's been convicted. John McCain, in his final breath, voted for impeachment and removed him. I think that's what we're going to find.
R.I.P. Charles Krauthammer.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. July 12th, we're going to have the Boss Hog of Liberty All-Stars, so it's going to be all the Hoko hosts. Probably a little bit of wedding recap at that point.
And rehab.
Stories. Yeah, rehab. I'll probably still have an IV on me.
I don't know what you're getting into in those countries.
We're going to recap how Chase got down on one knee and ruined my wedding by proposing to the lovely Katie just before.
Are you getting married in 6 years?
I'm getting married a week from Saturday.
Not going to happen.
I really hope it does. You need to settle down with Katie. She's a good girl.
Last year,
Maybe one day.
Last year was Dakota's wedding. This year's my wedding.
And
this
so
show.
2
Remember,
years from now,
a week
4?
after my after Dakota's wedding, I got engaged. It was like a week and a half later.
Okay.
This show has never existed more than a week and a half without a co-host that's engaged.
What I'm thinking is,
and Danny is probably not yet.
Danny's going to get
and
engaged
Kate's
next
already married
because he's got an adopted stepson. and then I will get engaged after Danny, as long as it happens a year or two from now.
All right.
We have to go a week and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
You better. You know the ring size yet?
Yeah.
You do?
Uh-huh.
You know it?
No. I'm not asking until I have to.
Let me to find out for you. I'm going to say like 7 is a pretty standard size, and then you can adjust from there if you have to.
Okay.
All right. Remember that. We'll talk later. And then July 26th, we got Lee Markham on, the godfather of the donut business in Henry County. So Lee Markham of Jack's Donuts is coming on.
I love Jack's Donuts.
We don't have August planned out, but we'll figure it out later.
Should have him bring us some donuts.
Next 4 episodes, that's the story.
Jeremiah over here.
I like the caramel nuts and the peanut butter one.
All right. This has been fun.
It has been fun.
I have to pee.
Oh, my God. We got to go.
I do too.
Yeah. This has been fun. We'll see y'all next week. Cousin Donnie, Sean Rao, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
We'll
look forward to the next time.
We'll see you again soon.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at wearelibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to wearelibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at wearelibertarians.com.